eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth, $1.4 trillion worth, out of $1.4 billion. It's hard to even say it so much. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Damn liar, man. That's not true. I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank. And by the way, it's cost a lot of money. It cost about $740 billion over 10 years.
Ever run for political office again?
No, no. I know I'm called middle class Joe. It's not meant as a compliment, means I'm not sophisticated. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over fact.
Senator Biden, words have in the past gotten you in trouble. Words that were borrowed and words that some found hateful. An editorial in the Los Angeles Times said, in addition to his uncontrolled verbosity, Biden is a gaffe machine. Can you reassure your voters in this country that you would have the discipline you would need on the world stage, Senator?
Yes. name is Joe Biden, and I love ice cream. What President Trump has done in going his spreading of racism, the way he deals with color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. No sitting president has ever done this. Never, never, never. No Republican president has done this. No Democratic president. We've had racists, and they've existed, they've tried to get elected president. He's the first one that has. And the way he pits people against one another is all designed to divide the country, divide people, not put them together.
If Haiti, a god-awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it. Lobbyists aren't bad people. Special interest groups are not bad people. But guess what? They're corrosive. People who accept the money from them aren't bad people. But it's human nature. You go out, Lynn, and bundle $250,000 for me, all legal, and then you call me after I'm elected and say, Joe, I'd like to come and talk to you about something. You didn't buy me, but it's human nature. You help me. I'm going to say, sure, Lynn, come on in. Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. I promise you. Election year, the choice is clear. One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of I think it's $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2 point something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air. I love kids jumping on my lap. The fact is that what happens now is that we in fact have to fundamentally change the culture of how women are treated. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs. And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it.
Does nothing to tackle the #1 job facing the middle class, and it happens to be, as Barack says, a 3-letter word: jobs. Jobs.
The younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. We can speak out and be more straightforward. I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am to be Vice President of the United States of America. Let's get that straight. And quite frankly, it might have been a better pick than me.
Hello, how are you all doing? I'm back. Zara, thank you for the 42 months. Crying Ma EU as well. Thank you for the tier 1. I believe that's it. How are y'all doing? Liv Vegar Super Bowl reaction. Is there a sports poll on? That's my reaction. I don't watch American football. Sometimes I'll call soccer football, like just to feel something, you know, making sure I don't fit in, you know what I mean? There's a Bad Bunny. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I support that. Lower the Biden count. You guys are like, I realized this. You guys are like bloodthirsty. No, not the 30. Bloodthirsty for the Biden count to come up. Like I imagine there's at least 20% of the audience that watches me is just staring directly at that Biden count and like chanting to make it go up. Hello everyone. How are you all doing? Chelsea Victory, thank you. Sorry, I've been streamed in a while.
One of the curlers on the mixed doubles team for Sweden is a Liv Ager.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure she is. I think. Well, this is an interesting question. You remember when the sub count was 419? That's a day one right there. This is an interesting question. Is like the platonic concept of a Liv Agar change with me? So if I dye my hair blonde, maybe I get different glasses. Is what a Liv Agar is different? Or am I no longer a Liv Agar? It really makes you think. Like when you say she's a Liv, I'm curious what she looks like now. Is she platinum blonde? Because I would suspect she's probably a brunette. You know, and maybe she's got the bangs. A Rachel is still a Rachel. That's what I'm saying. I think that I'm not. I think slowly I am becoming less of a Liv Agar. You know, I've been thinking about getting another pair of glasses. These are transition lenses, which like I'm like so easily convinced. Like I am like a salesperson's wet dream. Like I can't imagine if I like bought a car, because I'm just like so easily convinced of things. They're like, you should have this feature, and I'm like, you're right, I should pay way too much fucking money for that feature. And when I was getting my glasses, the lady was like, oh, the transition lenses, and she like sold me on them. It's the lamest decision I've ever made in my life. It's a very lame, and they're very nice glasses. Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair enough. I would say that that's. I feel like if that's a Liv Agar, I think I guess that's kind of the point of the stereotype, isn't it? Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I decided to get transition lenses and I regret it. So I'm probably gonna get at least 2 pairs of glasses, because these are like, I mean, you know what? You can't notice it. Like I did sit on my glasses, and which I'm usually good at like not doing. It took me like maybe 2 years. Like that's why I used to, real ones, remember that my previous pair of glasses I had from like 2020 to 2024, and those I completely snapped because I sat on them. It's the thin frames, they're tricky. Well, always, yeah, it's like Daria. That's like original Liv Agar. But yeah, I wonder how much it changes. I totally forgot what I was talking about. I've been doing, oh yeah, so I haven't been streaming that much. I don't know the talk. I mean, I'm like having a bigger role in QAA now. I'm like a co-producer, which is cool. So I'm gonna be doing a lot more QAA stuff. So I'll probably be streaming less. Maybe like I at the very least on Sundays. Like what I need to do one a week. I feel like also like when I don't stream for a long time, I have so much to talk about that like it gets so easy. One of your clips on my Instagram, Alco? What? From where? Are people putting my stream clips on Instagram? That's amazing. That's incredible. Please show me. That's incredible. I love to see that. Please, I've told everyone this. I will tell you again. Steal my content and put it on short form stuff. Or on YouTube too. As long as you link and you make sure it's clear that it's me, so you send people back. Please do that. Do I know about clavicular? Do I know about clavicular getting absolutely frame mogged by an ASU frat leader? Of course I do. I think I'm gonna do an episode on him because it's a good like follow up to the look smacking stuff. MKG, thank you for the tier 1. It's the stream guessing if it's a trans woman's room. Oh yes, of course. Yes. No, yeah, that's seeking range. Oh no, not seeking arrangements. It's another cute Interior Motives. Yes. No. Ben's show. Yes. No. That one. I know that one. That one makes sense. I thought it was the stream. Interior Motives is awesome. That was so funny. That's a great show. Yeah, see, he's smart. Like, he's doing... One of the things that I want to do for QAA is, like, give us more reach on short form stuff. Because we don't have, like, any fucking algo pull at all. So, maybe have a video component. I know Chapo has been doing, like there's a Subway Surfer thing that they've been doing for Instagram. It's like, do you practice gesture gooning? Okay, that's one not being on Twitter that I cannot say that I've heard the phrase gesture gooning. Am I getting old now? Am I unk? I don't know what gesture gooning is. Because I know what gesture maxing is, and it's getting women to be attracted to you by being funny. Gesture gooning. I can't deduce that from first principles. That's too obscure for me to understand. Oh, okay. I think I've seen this. Was mid-gesture gooning when a group of foids came inspect his cortisol levels? Is ignoring the foids while that feels like a slur or something. And mogging moids more useful than SMV Chad fishing in the club? I think it's a meme. I think so. This is like, the joke is that it doesn't mean anything. That's what I'm accepting, that the joke is that it doesn't mean anything, because I don't. Here's a breakdown of what these sentences mean for those not in the know. Sentence 1 analysis. Clavicular was mid-gesture gooning when a group of foids came and sparked his cortisol levels. Clavicular, nickname for streamer. A clavicle lengthening, widening. Gesture gooning, a portmanteau of two terms. Gesture maxing, acting like a clown or fool to get attention or cope with social rejection. Gooning, originally referenced to it, but this didn't explain it. No, it's nothing. Okay. I'm aware of those two terms. Also, I don't think that's what gesture... As a looks maxing / incel expert, I don't think that that's what that is. Sorry. Yeah. I know the rest of this. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what SMV Chad fishing in the... Chad fishing is when you're catfishing, you're pretending to be a Chad. If I were to guess. A grotesque term for shock sites used to describe an extremely ugly form of mewing. Tongue posture exercising implies focus intensity on one's face aesthetics. Okay. Look maxing correspondent. I haven't checked in on them in a couple of years. I can't imagine how much worse it's gotten now that, like, looks maxing is like... Is moid? Moid's been a term. Absolutely. Like, moid is, like, you know, the most used term for like a 4chan femcel. They love the term moid. If anyone is familiar with the clip I got of my algo, it's Interior Motives, right? Oh, okay, this is unrelated.
Drop trying to come up.
Yeah. I've been trying to scroll less on Instagram. I haven't been on Twitter at all, which has been good for me. I guess I miss stuff like gesture gooning. So maybe it's not all what it's cracked up to be. You know, I may have like much better attention and I like focus and I can do more stuff, but I don't even get to see people talk about gesture gooning. The Emiru is getting cooked. I missed you on QAA. Well, you'll get a lot more. I think I should be on like most episodes now, at least on the mic for most episodes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. Honestly, I do like I think I enjoy podcasting more than like streaming / writing. I think it's like I'm familiar with how to do it. Julian's doing okay. QA is mentioned in the Epstein files. I believe Travis View is mentioned in the Epstein files. And this is the problem. Like, we can talk about the Epstein files. I talked about on the podcast, but what was I gonna say? Oh man, I'm so like words are difficult. I'll have a thought and then it just like completely escapes me like so quickly recently. That's a Biden count. Sure. No, it's for the Biden count lovers in the chat. It's gonna be pretty high this stream, I think. Oh yeah, one of the things about the Epstein files is they just like dumped a fucking million. They dumped a million files, and so like there's so much more. There's such a large glut of things that like people kind of lose the forest for the trees. They flooded the zone, exactly. Perfect. You should be the streamer. That's exactly what they did. And so like you'll get like, oh, you know, did you hear that? I don't know, Leife is in the Epstein files or something, you know, something. I guess she got popular, you know, like just like random, and it's like, oh, that clearly means that on the island. But it's like, no, well, there's an insane amount of emails, and like sometimes someone will just like link someone an article or something, and they're mentioned in the headline of another article in the Atlantic or something. I certainly have seen with the response to the Epstein files a lot of people missing the forest for the trees. My favorite example is people who think that somehow like Pizzagate has been confirmed by the Epstein files, which is so funny to me because it's like they're just openly talking about raping children and killing people, and like you think they needed walnut sauce? You think they needed to be like, oh, you know, I want some pepperoni on my pizza as like a code word for like having a boy prostitute. It's like, no, they didn't need to do that. There's no like, they have so much power. These people are so confident. And they didn't feel any need to do that at all. Yeah, it's just, what are other interesting Wayfair? Yeah, the Wayfair. Was there a Wayfair invoice in the files and people were like, oh, it's evidence? The Wayfair stuff is so fucking annoying. Oh, that one's still going on. I got like an Instagram reel about that recently where someone was like, I knew the Wayfair. Where the fuck is Julie? Can you... He's doing fine. I don't know. What was I going to say? Yeah, like the fact that has been confirmed, like the fact that people are back on the Wayfair thing again, it's like you have so much direct evidence that all of these powerful people are like raping children, and you still need the thing of like, oh, on Wayfair there was this furniture that had a generic name attached to it, and then some child also went missing who had that generic name, who later showed up and wasn't being sex trafficked, but like that kind of confirms, you know, I don't know. I think it's people want to bake. Like fundamentally, they like when everything becomes explicit. When it's like, okay, here are all the people who are molesting children. I am gay. Here's all the explicit evidence of it. Overkill. Thank you. A lot of people's reaction will be like, but where's the trick? Like, where is the little clue that I can see to like? Oh, Sean, thank you for the raid.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
Shout out. Chandra Black, please follow. I'd be a good stream. Shout out. We are talking about the Epstein files at the moment. Because of course. But yeah, about how like all of the child fucking, all of the pedophilia, even like murder, is like explicit. They're so confident that they're putting these things in the fucking files, in emails, right? The least secure thing that you can put anywhere. And like people's reaction is like, oh, but like where are the clues that we can scan through here to like really understand the truth? It's because people want to bake. They like, people view politics as like a puzzle. You get a bunch of absurd information from like, let's say the internet, from news sources, and you have to be the one who kind of like sifts through the information to figure it out, even when it's explicit, because it's not fun. A lot of it is like what Adorno calls a pseudo activity. Like interpreting politics becomes this action that has all the emotional baggage and weight and the feeling of actually doing politics, of actually understanding the world, but without any of the actual substance. It's unsubstantial because people don't have power. It's an expression of their powerlessness. It's an expression of the institutions in their world, the concepts that they have been taught to relate to politics through being completely useless for them, having no capacity to give them actual freedom. And so yeah, it's like, well, you gain all of this obvious information about the actual fucking pedophile cabal running the world, you know, incredible. Like I said this on the podcast too, is I do think that the Epstein file dump is like a chud victory in a certain sense. Like it won't have a good effect on politics. People are saying pizza and strawberry are codes. Yeah, like when they're in the files, they're like, that torture video is great. It's like, Jeffrey Epstein just loves pizza. Like, of course he does. Are you surprised that Jeffrey Epstein is like, yeah, dude, fucking order? Jake's Jeffrey Epstein impression, even though it's not accurate, of like a bro, is like so accurate to him as a person. Everyone likes pizza. It's a default. It's a default party food, you know, like he's a New York guy. Yeah. Like, yeah. It's not good, folks. It's not good. And it's a product of our irrational culture that like people cannot take rational evidence and use it properly. Because this shouldn't be a chud victory, right? It shouldn't be a victory for conspiracy theorists, for cranks, for chuds. But I think, like, in the long term, I think it will be. And I think that, like, this is, like, really bad for Trump style Republican politics. I'm beginning to believe more and more that, like, if/when American fascism becomes, like, ascendant, that it's not going to be directly under, like, the Trump wing of the Republican Party. It'll be some like, reconfigured Republican Party or a different institution entirely. Or that this will be the kind of, this is the Sulla to the Caesar, you know, to make the most annoying history reference possible. It's the thing that makes that destruction of those institutions much more possible. Because, yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. Like, they're not doing well. What was it, like 40% of Americans want to abolish ICE now? Not even, like, disapprove of them. Just like want to abolish ICE. Hear the voice Travis talk. Travis can talk when he wants to, because whenever Travis talks, it's very insightful. And we're always better off for hearing him. I'm Levegar, and this is Tides of History. Is that like a new one? I feel like when I was like a history podcast guy, emphasis on guy to show you how long ago this was. I feel like it was like Dan Carlin, hardcore history. Which I love I always think of the come town bit. You're always a woman, thank you. Thanks. Of Dan Carlin bang bus history. This is a good one. That was such a bad, like, I mean, honestly, he did a good job for a layman. The classic tell of someone who's like doing pseudo work in medieval history is when they talk about like the Mongols killing more people in China than like died in the Holocaust, you know, died in World War II. Like, that's people love doing that one, and it's like that's ridiculous. Like the Persia, I think demographics in Persia because of the Mongols were pretty bad. Obviously much less people in that region than in China. 10 trillion died on the Yellow River, yeah. Which is silly. And just like you think about it for a bit and it's like, no, that's clearly not true. And it just like doesn't have an effect in the cultural memory. Yeah, it's very silly. But he was doing his best. I don't know. That was like, he was like early. The Mongols destroyed Iraq and burned down the entire city. They were burning down entire cities. It's a lot harder to kill that many people with pre-modern weaponry. Rakumo, yeah. I see the yeah, no, it's unfortunate. It's definitely yeah, I was gonna say they did you dirty, but that's probably insensitive. I guess it was long enough ago. I don't know. Anyway. Genghis my goat. That is the funny, like, you can do radio play-by-play for the Super Bowl. Genuinely, I don't know which teams are playing. I don't follow American football. I don't want to be that person because I do follow sports. I follow sports. I'm cool. It's the Seahawks and the Patriots. I feel like Seahawks. We gotta go Seahawks on that one. Yeah, Seattle versus Israel. Yeah, yeah. No, we gotta go Seahawks on that one. And it's it's right there, Vancouver, Seattle. We're like the same city. I am Krakow. Is StarCraft? I feel like there's a big StarCraft tournament in Krakow. I can't remember. Is that StarCraft? No, is that Counter-Strike? Stream the TP USA halftime show. Are they're gonna get Erica Kirk out? She's gonna perform. It is so funny, like sometimes I do just need to trust my instinct and be meaner. To like I feel like in real life I'm a very like meek combatant, but then when I see people who are my political enemies do things, I want to be so mean to them. And remember the original Erica Kirk stream? Where like everyone in my chat was like, she's fucking performing, and I was like, come on guys, like people mourn in funny ways, like she wants to like, and then it was like, no, you guys are right. You guys are right. I should have been mean. Erica Curry's literally going to go on stage and perform. You're lying to me. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Yeah, I think you're lying. I will not be tricked by chat. I swear to God. Erica Kirk's leaked audio raises eyebrows. My voice is so funky today. As Candace Owens shares clip of her giggling after Charlie's death. This is odd. The girls are still fighting. I do like that they were doing that riff back and forth about Charlie Kirk being like a dream seer that like connected with people.
There you go.
Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Look how cute that is. Sorry, this is a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. How sweet. I didn't know they could do that. I hate
9/16. Is that like less than a week after? Do we know that that's when it is?
I never like sorry, you guys. I just wanted to say first and foremost, my heart obviously is broken for you guys as much as it is for our family. You guys
It was 9/10. It was a week after.
lost not only a boss.
I kind of love her. Is that a fucked up thing to say?
Someone
this diva. She fucking hated him.
looked up to, someone that
honestly, I kind of love her actually. I kind of love her. Like, she did not like him. This was like, she was like the reward. She was like the reward for Charlie Kirk being in like MAGA, getting into MAGA world. You know, and like we're just like a practical.
Believed in his mission, that you also that you loved. You loved listening to his show. You loved hearing his wisdom on things. I'm sure some of you have also had very personal moments of where you sat down.
This is actually so beast.
And
had private conversations with him. I want you all to hold on to those. And I want you all to remember those.
Okay,
so
so
deeply. I want
she's.
you to journal about them. I want you to be able to tell your kids about
That's.
them. And it would be.
She seems sad. It seemed okay.
I pop up here and there, the family, the drink.
No, I mean honestly, this is less bad. They started it where she was laughing.
oh, look at all the thumbs up. Look.
You that's what 2 minutes left on the plane. And they're throwing their toys and they're screaming.
I'm sure she's talking about business throughout all of this. Wait till she gets the part about merch sales. Okay, that was a beast. I'm gonna speed it up.
Remember those so deeply. I want you to journal about
This
them.
is Zoomer stream.
I want you to be able to tell your kids about them. I want you to put those in your heart as why you're still here with the turning point you received, because that's what we want. And like I said to our small group, after whatever day that was, and I did the thing on TV, how many days are still on Good Friday. I told the team, I said, Turning Point USA will continue like my husband always wanted, and it'll be bigger than ever. And we're going to honor him by doing that. We're going to stay humble. We're going to work hard because that's what he would want. And we're going to just make it grow. And we're going to keep our eyes fixed on heaven. And, like even Stacey said, he's going to find ways to speak to us. And he's going to speak to you in different ways. Every person's going to be different, but you'll get.
That's the funny thing about, like, I'm like, oh, she's kind of pulling a Candace Owens here. And it's like, no, she's just evangelical. Like, they're kind of all like that.
It might be here on campus. It might be in quiet moments of the night. But he's here. And he's more alive than ever, and he is he's going to guide us, and we just have to remain humble. But again, what I told the team was, I will fight like hell to make sure that all of you have a job here. I don't want anyone to think their job's in jeopardy, because your family, if you choose to leave, that's different. I never will, and I promise you, I will make sure that I never allow a point to where you have to leave because we cannot financially afford you, and that is a promise. I want our family to stay together.
I do think this clip is contingent upon you watching just this little bit, because it looks bad.
I hate Zoom. I never like Zoom. Sorry.
And I just want you to know that, again, I'm with you.
Yeah, but that's very funny. Just received a tip that Erica, so this is Candace Owens. Erica Kirk just received a tip, which, like, I love the concept of Candace Owens receiving a tip. Like, I've trusted I've received piece of information. A little bird has told me, like, she's fucking Varys. Erica Kirk, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Ben Shapiro were slated to film a piece of content together. Sorry. Film a piece of content together? Are they doing a fucking OnlyFans collab? Like, what do you mean? Daystar was involved in the development. For whatever reason, the filming canceled at the last minute very recently. Filmed a piece of content together is such a funny way of putting it. I hate the term content. She's a medium and Charlie's speaking through her. Yeah. No, it's been if you thought Trump won, left-wing influencer ascendancy was annoying. It's like, no, you've not seen anything. Candace Owens a few months ago, they killed my friend Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens now. Charlie was very well known in the astral plane. He was a wizard and he loved me. It's not impossible. It's funny too, like, the astral plane stuff doesn't seem like it's Christian at all. Like, we were playing fucking Baldur's Gate or something. Charlie Kirk Githyanki. Then of course we have to talk about the fact that Clavicular ran into a frat leader at ASU and got brutally frame-logged by him. We have to talk about this story of the day, really.
Crimson Tide? You got me by a lot.
Brutally frame-logged.
Yeah, dude.
Clavicular is a fascinating individual because he really does show, like, he is such good evidence of the ascendancy of, like, the creation of content creators who are completely not in control. They are completely beholden to the algorithm. It's not like the classic image of content creation, quote unquote, is like, if there's like a business 100, how to make media for money. It's like, you make a novel product and then you give it to an audience and the audience becomes like attached to you and your specific product, and then you make money off, like, you're shaping the audience. That's the top-down dynamic. But, like, the way that content algorithms work, slowly it's become the inverse. I wondered, like, there's a couple reasons I think probably for this. Interesting to think about why this change has happened. But now it's literally like, a lot of the new who are popping up and becoming like this large, they are completely beholden to the algorithm. They are following a trend. They are supplying a demand that already exists and has already been entrenched. What's a better way of putting that? Like, Clavicular is not in charge of this. He's a very sad individual who I think happened to like be very, impressionable individual with low self-esteem who like really imprinted on a particular idea of, the kind of looks maxing culture. Because the further you look into Clavicular, the sadder it becomes. I know that like there's a thing about him doing, like he is trying to do, he's like doing weight loss, and so he's been taking meth. Clavicular has been criminally charged with 2 felonies for forgery and possession of dangerous drugs. Is this true? At Grok. Is this true at Grok? Yeah, as it becomes far more based upon like serving an already existing algorithm, as opposed to like, I don't know. I'm trying to develop like a better account of this is a definite change that I have noticed, and it gets worse and worse as the like content creators, quote unquote, get kind of sadder and sadder. Like, you feel worse and worse for them. It's like they're not really in control of this. They're just getting pushed around. Like, getting my news from Polymarket. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh man. It's like a deeply melatonin 500 milligrams. Oh, okay. Is that? No, that's not that much then, right? Or is that an insane amount? I can't remember. It's like 5 grams is the one that's not that much, or that's like, I hope so.
Yeah. So right now I'm on a very low dose of test. I'm on around like 220 milligrams.
He doesn't need. I mean, that's maybe. I wonder if that's like the less. Charged with 2 felonies for faking documents and illegal drugs. Right, he had a fake ID. It's low. Okay.
I'm on 25 milligrams of Accutane. I'm on 12 milligrams of retatrutide.
I don't know what those are.
I'm on 10 milligrams of nebivolol, 2.5 milligrams of minoxidil. I do a lucky dip of dutasteride, which basically...
I actually don't know what these are. I know what Accutane is. I know what minoxidil is. I know what melatonin is.
I have dutasteride in raw powder form, and I'll just dip my...
Kind of sounds like a TTT poster. It is a very similar type of brain poisoning.
Finger in the bag.
Are you taking minoxidil at 18, 19? I mean, your hair can thin at that point. I would imagine that he's just paranoid.
And take it. I usually take melanotan too. I haven't taken it in like a little bit, but I just want to make sure that that's in there. I'll do a lot of L-glutathione, so that's another antioxidant that's already produced endogenous.
He's not thinning when I take it because he's terrified it would start thinning.
Honestly, I'll take NAD+, which is extremely good for the health of your cells. It's good for your brain.
It can't be good.
And just
that's my review of this. HGH, yeah, I mean, I probably think that the worst thing is meth for weight loss. Just take Adderall, man. Is he trolling about that? Like, I don't... Just take any other... Just take, like, a... Ozempic, yeah, like... It's bizarre. Because meth is not good for you, chat. In case you're curious, it's quite, like... It's quite, I think, intrinsically bad for you. Start coke maxing? No, man, don't do that. Don't do that. It is, yeah. If you, it's definitely not an amphetamine that, like, my understanding is that there are certain, like, hard drugs that, like, if you take it at a certain amount, you probably are fine physically.
No idea. Do whatever you want.
B++, thank you for the 10 gift subs. It's like chemical dependency that's like the really worry, and that overtakes your life. Thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. But there are some drugs where it's like, no, you are going to start fucking decomposing if you take that. And as far as I understand, I believe that meth is in the latter category.
For you to know that Charlie's with you in something. When we first started dating, we were walking to dinner one night.
I love her like pathological liar stories. Cause it's one of those things, like she lies like LeBron does, you know what I mean? Where it's like people can look up where you were at that point in your life. It's public information. Like you can...
And this happened a lot. The lights would start to flicker. And he'd look up at the light and be like, it's so weird. This happens to me a lot. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah.
She's the LeBron of drifting.
So
no, that's implying she's good at it.
Whole dating and whole marriage, anytime we'd be in a room and a light started to flicker, he would just look at me and wink. It was like our little thing.
His power.
It's a total frequency thing. And so...
She must be trolling Candace? No, I think she's just kind of insane. Oh, there's a hype train for some reason. Cool. Well, if you would like to subscribe, we have lots of cool emotes. Like the little lizard. Washed loser tweet. We'll look at this after. Yeah, we have lots of cool emotes. Yeah, I do love just like lying in the way LeBron does. I don't know. I do think, yeah. I guess there's no, at this point, there's no. Every excuse thing in the prime. So sometimes I have like 4 thoughts at once, and I try to like get one of them out. Is Candace Owens actually talking in the Candace Owens Bad Bunny combo is incredible. I still, it's just like making sure everyone is mad at you, because that's the way that like the culture works now. It's not a thing of like, oh, we'll get a little bit of column A for like the right wing, with the chuds, and then like we'll get a bit of for the libs. It's like, no, if you have chuds, if you have something for the chuds, then the libs are gonna be mad, and vice versa. Candace, I like the idea of Erica Kirk performing with Bad Bunny. Yeah, no, it's a really weird time in culture right now. Not, to be the first one who notices, obviously. And I think the Trump collapse produces this weird, like, because it's not like Trump won where like culture is pretty universally against him. Like there still is a lot of like people on the right who are kind of riding the high of, remember the Cruel Kids table? Remember the vibe shift at the start of Trump 1 or start of Trump 2, where like Trump had like a higher approval rating, and it was like, oh fuck. Like my reaction to that, it was like, I'm just gonna hide just now. Like being on the internet, like this is not. FaceTime Cowboy, thank you. What was I gonna say? I totally lost what I was about to say. Trump, they still kind of think that they have a mandate, and that kind of reflects like culturally. I mean, like the Trump administration is like being much more fascist about trying to control culture. Same with like university institutions just being like explicitly afraid. Like the trans people I know who are like TAs and like graduate students in like American schools, it's like horrifying, right? It's like your school just doesn't support you. They're like, no, we don't support you if there's a culture war thing that attacks you. Like we don't want to get our funding cut. But for like oddly enough, like that, like I don't know. Yeah, it's very strange. The Super Bowl start already. I don't know. I can't say that I care for American football. I'm sure it's something that I could get into. Is this like too Commonwealth of me to say that I like rugby more? I don't know. Have I told you? I was a rugby player in high school. I was a little wing. I was the twink that you pass the ball to is such a funny thing to say. The little twink that you just like, I don't, tackle anyone, I just like run with it at the end. And it wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for me at all. I would just get like fucking just plowed by but I do have a soft spot for rugby. I think it's cool. Concussion Factory? Not really, honestly. It's a lot less bad than I was getting plowed, yeah. This is a PG-13 stream, chat. Get your mind out of the gutter. I would never get plowed. They break guys' necks a lot still. I mean, I'm sure it's up, it's a lot less bad than football. That is something that's very counterintuitive. Thank you for the hype train, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you for the money. That's something that's very counterintuitive about football and rugby is like, why did I get a stream notification for this stream I don't even follow? It was meant to be. What do you want me to tell you? Is that like, you'd think that injuries would get less bad the more padding you get. It's like, well, you just add more padding and then it's fine. But it is completely the opposite. Until they can get padding for your brain to not jostle, it is not good. But just one more padding, bro. Just one more padding and it's fine. Yeah. Okay, Jake Paul tweet. If you don't like ice, then you can't call 911. 911. If you don't like ice, then you can't call 911 when you're in trouble. If you don't respect law enforcement agents, then you shouldn't depend on them. When Billie Eilish gets her home broken into, it's not going to be fuck ice. I can promise you that. Jake Paul is like, it's cool how much of a dumbass he is. Because you know what? Like there's a part of this tweet. Do you want to hear? You want to hear a hot take? You want to hear a hot take from me? I have another hot take, by the way. What I think we were talking about before, the like surrogacy discourse. Like, there's a part of this tweet that's true in a way that is more like in the way that liberals are wrong about ICE. This is to say that like sometimes I see tweets and I see like Patreon comments about this where it's like, don't call the ICE agents officers. They're not military. They're not police. There's some other thing that's bad. And it's like, no, it's the same violence. It's the same institutions, broadly speaking, that they work on each other. This rhetorical shit of like, oh, ICE is some other thing that's like, it's not connected to the violence of police. It's not connected to, it's like, no, I think that's a silly thing to say. Opposing you're opposing American institutions of power. You're opposing the American police state. ICE is an extension of that police state, is an extension of that violence, even if like it is a distinct institution with like a distinct set of interests and, a guiding logic compared to the police or compared to the military. They're working towards the same fundamental goal. Yeah, so I don't like that liberal I understand that like that's very rhetorically powerful in a certain sense now, just because like a lot of people want to abolish ICE, and there's never been the concept in American discourse of 40% of people saying they want to abolish the police is like absurd, right? So there is like a power to that, but I think that the important thing to do as like leftists, as anti-capitalists, as whatever, is to attach, as abolitionists, is to attach the violence of ICE with the violence of police, is to attach the brutal murders in broad daylight by ICE that are going like completely, like, it's not even like a pretense of due process, with, the murder of, Black Lives Matter protesters who are just like showing up dead in fucking burnt cars. And the police are just like, I don't know, they probably killed themselves. Yeah, they were shot in the back of the head and then they burned to death in a car. They probably killed themselves. It's hard to say. That is the same form of violence. It feeds off of each other. Yeah, so I don't, but yeah, I mean, Jake, it is funny seeing him try to do the, like, it won't be fuck ice. Because, you can see immediately why that's stupid, because they're separate institutions where, like, one of those can exist without the other one. But was there a stolen land thing? I remember seeing a blip of this. Did she say that, like, no one's illegal on stolen land? Because that is, like, woke, like, I've said before how I don't like, to be sincerely, I don't like the, like, woke is coming back stuff. I think that it's, like, a silly way of framing things. But, like, it's coming back. It's a silly way of framing things for a lot of reasons, because it's, like, I mean, first off, it's just, like, the concept of woke is amorphous and fake. And, like, to take the weird, jumbled, bizarre, anti-conceptual term from the right and then, like, embrace it as, like, no, it is a real thing and, like, we like it. It's like, well, no, wokeness as it was used was never real. Wokeness as it functions for the right is just, like, things that, like, especially, like, components of, like, culture, civil society that, like, shame you or try to prevent you from enjoying things. But things that, like, prevent conservatives from enjoying what they want to enjoy. So it's like making an offensive joke, eating steak because, you can't do that, it's climate change, it's this shaming. Which is why they think of woke as a distinctly new phenomenon. Yeah, because it's like, well, Martin Luther King isn't woke because it's like, well, when I think of him and, like, how he's been kind of recapitulated by American society, it's like, I'm not meant to feel shame for it. Test drive doll, thank you for 3 months in advance. Even if, like, well, if you look at the civil rights movement and, like, Black Lives Matter, there's a very distinct, there's a connection there. But it's like, well, they're like, well, but the feeling of shame isn't there for that part of the civil rights movement, or at least how a white American conservative has, like, it's kind of, political correctness is kind of similar. It's much, I would say it's much more encompassing than political correctness, though, which is why it's such a powerful idea for the right. Yeah, and also, like, I don't know. I feel like if our actual response here, if you look at Trump 1 and you're like, oh yay, finally we're going to get back to the liberal status quo of maybe a 2015. Like, that means that we're just going to be fine. Like, we're back to a point where it's better. Surely that's not incredibly vulnerable to backsliding. Just, like, the same problems are going to be repeated again and again. Clueless. Yeah. Yeah, it's silly. Yeah, because, like, really, like, what that, like, when people talk about woke coming back, what it really means is, like, well, we're not really actually challenging the institutions of power that are causing this anti-democratic, fascistic backslide. Not even backslide. It's like something entirely new. Like the parts of material life, the parts of society that make people evil, that make them want a charismatic strong man to take away democracy and to, kill their political enemy. Like, those all still exist. Those people are all still very powerful. They still have a shit ton of money. They're insulated by these unjust institutions of power. It's just like they feel bad because they can't make a racist joke at a water cooler, in the work water cooler, right? Like, which isn't to say, like, shaming someone for making a racist joke at the water cooler is bad. It's just to say that it's, like, a cultural response to a lack of power of, like, well, if the only place that we have power is culture, then we're going to exert our influence in culture. But that is, like, again, not necessarily a bad thing to try to, it's just that, like, well, that's not going to do it. That's not a sign of, oh, we're getting power again. Oh, these people are being kicked out. Is there something new and not just what's already been there with the coat of paint? I mean, I guess the thing that they want is something new. I would argue that, like, again, Adorno talks about the concept of a pseudo-conservative, which I think is interesting. It's someone who isn't actually a conservative. You see this among like the new right quite a bit. It's people who don't actually want to return to tradition. They look at old American political institutions, let's say in the American context, and they're like, no, those aren't fascist enough. Like those don't control people and dominate people. The problem is with a lot of these people, the problem with those old institutions for them is that they produced this status quo. They produced feminism, right? They produced the civil rights movement. They produced these changes that they're resentful for. So like they want to, like, their psychological attempt, the way that they interact with society, what am I saying? They want to create a status quo to make sure that this backs what they view as a backslide, the degeneracy can't happen. It's different from reactionary. It's kind of a similar type of prayer. When you think of a reactionary, you're probably thinking of these pseudo-conservatives. They want something far more extreme. They don't actually want conservative social institutions. So they want something totally new. Now, obviously, like, the same people are in power, right? If they want to elevate, they want to make these institutions much, stronger. These institutions of power, these dominations, much stronger. They're oftentimes, they're going to be the same institution. It's going to be the same. It's going to be a continuation of the American prison system, continuation of American patriarchy, And it's a lot, you can draw a line between the old and the new, but they want it to change drastically. My favorite example of this is like when, it's maybe not directly an example, but it's good to think about, like, when trad people talk about sex, and when they talk about returning to tradition, like the way that they're talking about it, you would think that like there were no children out of wedlock, that people weren't just fucking in the medieval period. As far as I understand, and I'm not a historian, but like the core, like, medieval Catholic, not necessarily medieval, maybe pre-modern, like, Christian ideas, you confess, you do something bad, sinful, let's say those are conceptually distinct, things. And then you confess and you say sorry, and then you're good. The joke I always talk about, there's this spire in a church in England that's like twisted, and it's like 13th century spire. And a joke in the town related to it was that like a woman was getting married in the church, and she was actually a virgin. And that was so surprising that even the spire turned its head to look around at her to see her. Like, it's a good slip, of like, well, you guys don't actually want to return to tradition. You want a set of social institutions that are way more powerful, have way more direct to say about people's personal, intimate lives than traditional Catholicism did and could, right? Like, a lot of this is like, it's just a negotiation of power. How can these institutions control people for their own benefit and benefit relations of production that they've attached themselves to be untechnical. And in the medieval context, it's a whole lot less. It's a whole lot less than it is now. We don't appreciate how much more powerful like the state is now. The modern state is like really difficult to get rid of. Even like really weak states, relatively speaking, these states you think of in like some in like West Africa, for instance, that we think of as like, oh, they're falling apart. Look at the territory that they're not controlling. They're holding on. Look at the, they're holding on pretty fucking well. They're able to exert themselves extraordinarily well in terms of like history, what historically states have been able to do. Yeah, that's a part of medieval politics that is less appreciated is like how existentially terrified like the medieval nobility was of peasants. Because like really, if they really could just they really could have just completely destroyed, if they looked to the left and the right, you know, got together, it would be over immediately. Now the way that the feudal system, which I think even like the concept of the feudal system is like a problematic term. I think I wonder how that relates to Marxist discourse. My understanding, anyway. What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Traditional values aren't usually historical. Yes, it's an imagined history. It's an imagined past. But an imagined past that specifically satiates the like sadistic, controlling urges of the fascist. This is like the fascist guy, right? Like who's like, we're gonna make the trains run on time. As Florida governor, I refuse to let subhuman jesters spike our collective cortisol. This guy. This is like, the fascist revolution comes, they're getting this guy. Like he's not making it. I'm sorry. This is like a Strasser character. Not even once. Also no foids or e-girls. As no foids. That is my policy as Florida governor. Not a single fucking foid in the whole state. Moids only. Foids out. That's so cool when it's like you're asking your like intern for terms or whatever. Like he doesn't know that foid is just like it's a derogatory term for a female. Right? It's not like the bad females. It's you know, it's easy to make that mistake when the term is being used because it's used derogatorily. Derogatorily? That's not a word. It's used in a derogatory way. That's a word? Okay, let's go. We're back. Clavicular asked his new fake cell foid how she can be a lesbian if she's a right-wing groiper.
Lesbo, right? You're a lesbo? Wait, how do you justify that? If you're like a groiper or whatever, or if you're like right-wing, how could you be a lesbian?
Why, is it like total faggot death? Is that what you're on?
Alright, go back.
I do think that like every single situation Clavicular puts himself in is just like a humiliation ritual. Like there's not a single... There's not a single situation that he has put himself in.
You know real people don't actually talk like this in real life?
Bro, it's like...
You realize like no one talks like this?
This is a fascinating lady. This lady, this is a fascinating individual.
Actually IRL.
No one like...
This is like the, like femcel posting to R9K sort of individual. Get her on the pod.
Like what the fuck are you doing? What do you... Hey, shout out to Kick.
No, this is different than Ayla. Ayla is like, I don't know. How do I describe? What is this? What is this lady's name? Because I'm very fascinated about what's going on there.
I am gay.
Eurojohn, thank you. Because like Ayla, I can see Ayla being like a beautiful woman and becoming the way that she is. But like whatever, how you can be like a good-looking lesbian and then become like a groiper, and like especially like one of these like really unsocial, strange, like right-wing influencers. Felix said Clavicular got negatively polarized by a foid into thinking slurs are bad because a woman said it. It looks like evil Ivy woke. That's a whole new sentence. That is a whole new sentence. Barry Weiss, but Barry Weiss is different though. Like Barry Weiss is not someone who you see her talk and see her interact with like another human being in real life, and you're like, this person does actually just go on R9K for 8 hours a day. Like this is a weird, like unsocial shut-in. Yeah, I don't. Razor H should be a groiper. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm. This lady fascinates me. Things get awkward after New York Times reporter asks Incel Floyd from Clickers viral clip if she considers herself an incel.
Care that much, but I was like, come on. Like,
do you consider yourself involuntarily celibate?
Not actually.
No. I guess that person, right? In some sense.
Exactly.
Maybe culturally incel, but not literally.
Yeah.
See, this is like, yeah. The broader phenomenon, maybe, actually, you know what? That's probably what's going on. Yeah, I've definitely seen this with like some like Trump to like right-wing pandering e-girls. Is like the culturally incel stuff. They're like trying to appeal to right-wing like young male incels. So they're like, "Oh, I'm such a schizo poster," and it's like, "No, you're not, Jennifer. Like, fuck off." I think that's probably what's going on here. I mean, I think it depends on if this lady is like has a grift, like if she's making money off this. I don't know what the environment here is.
yeah, for real. Very true. Like, you could be a voluntarily celibate.
I assume not, because the patriarchal quizzing impulse is taken up by triad wifery. Well, it's weird if you're like a lesbian.
You could be a volcel. Yes. But that's fine. Like, care.
Being a woman who calls herself Floyd is more degrading than anything clavicular has done. Oh yeah, I mean that's another component of. Was that clip like clavicular was hanging out with like these like sorority girls, and I believe they got like expelled because they were flashing they flashed like a baggie on stream, which like why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And then but it was also like doing the cultural incel terminology. What was I gonna say? I was going somewhere with that sentence and I can't remember where I was going. They got kicked out of the sorority, yeah. I completely forgot where I was going with that sentence. I don't understand why. What is a cultural incel? It's a woman who refers to herself as a Floyd. Total F slur death. That's very like. I guess it is a cake stream. That is a Biden moment. Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. It's very strange to see like. Oh, one thing about all of those people though is that they have some sort of like maybe humiliation fetish. There's like a masochism there that maybe doesn't necessarily manifest itself as explicitly sexual, like it's maybe sublimated. But they're like, this is the thing that's cool now. This is the thing that is cool/cruel. Like they're still holding on to the cruel kids table cultural moment. You know, when the right thought that like, oh, everyone's just gonna love us now. You know, you're gonna love us. It's Trump. Trump is like the cultural moment. That this is like the language for someone, especially like, or really specifically, I think like, it's like wealthy white, like young wealthy white people in America who like genuinely wish that they could still own slaves. Like their family probably owned slaves, if they were here for that, if they were in America for that long, and they're like, genuinely, they're like, damn, that's a shame we can't do that anymore. Like a real like someone whose world is structured by a plantation logic, insofar as they're exhibiting us to others. Like this is just the language they use now, I guess. And you get to these weird. It's so weird how much 4chan has like affected culture. That was another thing. It was the 4chan stuff on the Epstein files was like Moot meeting with fucking Epstein a day before he made Poll. I think a lot of people were overemphasizing what that meant. I think that there was a bit of a, like, I don't know. Someone was mentioning in the Patreon comments actually that like Moot was trying to create some sort of internet service, like Web 2.0 internet service, and that's probably what he was meeting him for. Which I feel bad. I feel like I should have noticed. I should have known that. Yeah, I mean, there's a desire to like just say, well, it's a conspiracy. Like they made, which I can see the impulse for that, but it is profound, the cultural influence of 4chan. Even like, because 2016, for instance, like 4chan Poll was like completely fucking washed, right? And then they made QAnon, right? It's like, you know that, do y'all know that clip of Cocky Want Boing Boing, what's his name? Dan Henschel. He had the video where it's like, you know, people are doubting me. You know, they're saying, oh, I'm washed up. Oh, I'm washed up, you know. They were saying the exact same thing the same time last year. You know what I did right after? Cocky Want Boing Boing. Like, that's like 4chan, like QAnon was like 4chan's Cocky Want Boing Boing. Of like, I got one more in me, you know, like, I guess he's gotten a couple bangers. He's got plenty of like viral stuff after that, but what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I realize how completely indecipherable that would be if you're not terminally online. Insane comparison. I have a beautiful mind. When Dan got the police investigating him, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was real too. I'm fairly certain that was real. He made a school shooter joke. And he had to publicly be like, this isn't a bit, like, I'm not planning on, what was I going to say? Yeah, no, the influence of 4chan is like deeply disturbing. I think looks maxing stuff really has like, I mean, it's tangential to 4chan. Sometimes it's easy to overemphasize the influence of 4chan, and it's more like, it's that kind of part of the like manosphere, for lack of a precise term, because looks maxing stuff comes mainly out of like the PSL forums, not the PSL you might be thinking of if you're a communist. A very different PSL, although they both have sexual assault allegations, I guess. So if you think about it, makes you think. Because it was originally the PUA hate forum, pickup artistry, pumpkin spice latte. Oh, wow. Am I even a white woman? I can't believe I didn't think of pumpkin spice latte. It was originally an anti-PUA forum, pickup artistry forum, but it was mainly just like a lot of it became people who were bitter because they tried pickup artistry stuff and then they couldn't get laid. And then it turned into a website called Slut Hate, which is a bit more kind of explicit about what's going on. And then it became looks maxing, of like, there was this idea of like, within the kind of like, it's like it comes out of an incel discourse that it says like, it starts with such a fundamentally incorrect analysis of how to make women be attracted to you. Where it's like pickup artistry stuff doesn't work. And what they meant by that isn't specifically the pickup artistry method. It's that like becoming charismatic, like convincing a woman that you're attractive and that she should sleep with you doesn't work. Like the conclusion they arrived at was like, no, it's mainly about physical looks. Like almost overwhelmingly, it's about what you look like. And so it's like, you know, there's a bit of I think ContraPoints made this analogy. It's a little bit like the 4chan like trans woman brain of like, my life is over because of a couple, you know, my bone structure, and I just can't affect that. It's stuff like that. Why it became popular though, within these circles is because it's a way of resigning yourself to like being hopeless. Because it's just like, well, I was just not hot. Like, it's just, there's nothing I can do about it. And like looks maxing came out of that to be like, well, I'm going to dedicate my life to becoming hotter. So that I can get women. And like, that's like an oversimplification. Obviously there's a wide range of like, there's like a spectrum here of like the extent to which these people who don't understand women very well, like women are an object they're completely alienated from, that they don't understand except for like maybe how they relate to their mother or their sisters. Really. But there's a spectrum of like how important it is to be charismatic compared to how important it is to be attractive. And yeah, the looks maxing stuff is just like you have to be psychotic about your looks. It's the only thing that matters. There's another ideology in here related to like, because you know, it is really clear that when you're hot, people treat you much better. Like the halo effect is real. I notice it on people where I'm like, no, I do like that person more. I think that they're nicer because they're hotter. And I don't like that. It doesn't make me feel good, but it's definitely like obviously true. KCG7, thank you. And it is a thing that like you should be upset about. Like me with Erica Kirk, exactly. That's that's not a comment I would have imagined in 1,000 years. Very unique brain required, I think, to generate that thought. What was I saying? Looks maxing is also direct result of dating apps. That's another good point. Dating apps really make it a lot worse. And like most people are fucking meeting, young people are meeting at dating apps now. And dating apps are incredibly shallow. It's just incredibly shallow, like the way that it captures you, like, and like when you see how people talk about dating dynamics on the internet, it really does like directly stem from a lot of like there are plenty of like the looks maxers before dating apps become popular, like they're tapping into something that like, you know, it's the like your kids are gonna love it thing. They're before their time, right? They're tapping into a feeling of alienation that like is only going to intensify in a couple years. The concept of like having a market value, for instance, like if you dated real life, it's a lot easier to understand that like some people work better with other people. It's not, you don't have an objective value marker. You don't have an ELO. You don't have a price. And it's like, well, you know, the concept of a looks match, right? Comes out of this is it's like you're objectively attractive in the same way to everyone, and it's about finding the same level of objective attraction, because like dating apps literally have a fucking ELO system. A lot of them do. A lot of them have an ELO system, and it affects who you get to match with. Like I think especially Hinge, like I think Tinder is a bit more like you kind of you're shown to everyone, but like Hinge eventually like it'll see how much, I'm not going to say how attractive you are. A what system? Oh, an ELO, like you play a video game online or you play chess, for instance, you'll have a rating, and that rating is how objectively good you are, and you play people of your same rating, and when you win it goes up, and then you play people of a higher rating. With Hinge it really does like find how attractive your profile is, because some people are much better at building profiles at others, and it pits you against people of a similar, pits you against, that's a Freudian slip in terms of how, it matches you with, it shows you to people of a similar level, which is going to have a really bad effect on people. I do wonder like the gendered component of that, because I know in North America, like it's much more men than women on dating apps. I wonder why this is. I think like my default to a lot of that is just that like some women are more comfortable. Isn't that true everywhere? I don't think so. I think the ratios are different in different areas. Male female ratio across world. If there's any good data on this, I don't even know how they would collect I think the ratios are like different depending on the area. I do wonder, like, it produces this image, I think, that really feeds into incel ideology, that like, hypergamy, that like there are these like a couple chads who have sex with a bunch of women, and then there's a lot of women who have sex with those men, right? Which is like, it's why, I'm not getting the matches, all the matches are going to those guys. When I think in reality, a lot of it comes from like the fact that, yeah, women just use dating apps less. They rely on them less. A part of this might be because in heterosexual dynamics, sorry, my nose is getting, I've been very phlegmy recently, and it's affected my voice, which is annoying. What was I saying? I lost what I was saying. We're in a better support systems. That could be a part of it. Although, I don't know. It's either, women get approached more and they feel maybe more comfortable being like, well, I'll just find someone who's going to approach me. But it also is probably just like women are probably more comfortable just being like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to find someone right now. I'll find them if I find them. I don't want to get on the apps. The apps are like overwhelming for different reasons based on gender, and certainly based on sexuality, but like for heterosexual dating, for women it's more they're scary, and for men it's more like it's alienating. It's like no one loves me, no one finds me attractive. Yeah, and you can see all of that, like it's much easier to see like looks maxing again, this idea that like attraction is the only thing that matters. It's like on dating apps it kind of does. On dating apps that's so much more important. Especially I think like there's a really gendered way that I mean obviously there's a really gendered component to how heterosexual and I guess bisexual like men and women are attracted to each other. And I do think like the way that women are attracted to men typically manifests much more in terms of like a guy's aura, for lack of a better term. It's just like how he is when you're around him. It's like, this is, I think, for a lot of different reasons that are not like far from inherent, right? A part of it is like the sexualization of women, the objectification, that's the term I was looking for, of women, where like you're taught, men are taught and are come to see and recognize attraction far more quote unquote objectively in terms of the beauty standard. A lot of this relates to the fact that like there's many feminist authors have talked about the very heterosexual component or homosexual component to men dating women, where it's like you're scoring a woman and you're like, everyone's gonna think I'm fucking goated, right? Look at how hot she is. That has a really big effect on how people are, there's a big effect on desire. Yeah. Photos of my dog give me more matches. That makes sense. The problem is, of course, a lot of these like norms, like this doesn't really relate to like love. It's a part of why I want to say modern dating, but that implies that like dating before wasn't absurdly alienating. I think it just obviously has a different character. One of the reasons why it's so alienating is like even people who want to date for love aren't dating for love because like just the institutions in their life, the sets of practices that they have come to learn in terms of how to date, how to recognize a sexual partner, romantic partner, are just like so not tied to the actual emotion of love. It's quite objective. This person fit, people talk about like talking to like cisgender heterosexual women. I feel like they're more likely, and this isn't, I don't want to say this to disparage them relative to cisgender heterosexual men, because I mean, it's obviously much worse. But like I see a lot of like more likely to refer to a first date as like an interview. Especially the dating to marry people. It's like you fit the objective conditions. That's what's important first. And then, you know, we can talk about how we feel about each other, which I think like really is an impulse that destroys, like a part of love is embracing heterogeny, is embracing difference, is embracing like you know, the quirks and components of another person that are fundamentally alien to you, but you cherish regardless. That, you know, that person opens up a world to you that you've never seen before. And that's much more difficult to get, you know, if all of your dating requirements, all the structure of the behavior around your dating is like for objective reasons. And a lot of like, this is why like, I do think that the looks maxing culture that has become very mainstream among like younger Zoomers, it's especially, I think, appealing to like incel men and men who like not even necessarily haven't had sex, but have a lot less sex than they would prefer to, date a lot less, have dating results that they're very unhappy with. There's it does make sense why it appeals to them, but I think it also just appeals to young men in general, because like their dating structure is far worse than straight women's structure. It's far more objective. It's far more based on something you're told you're supposed to like. And so of course they find it alienating. Of course they're much less likely to connect with their sexual romantic partners. They're much more likely to hate them, to, you know, like men are, it's really profound the degree to which like, especially heterosexual men, just like fucking hate the people they date. They don't like them. They're like, this is a person I have sex with that gives me gratification. And like, you know, we have some like, oftentimes it's like, well, we have some life partner shared activities, or she does a bunch of shit for me that I take for granted. They just don't like them. You know, it's like, yeah, of course you find that alienating. Of course you feel bad. And you're going to like, the quote unquote, you know, the right wing pipeline is about taking those bad feelings and giving them a concrete target, which is women, which is the way that women are. If these women, you know, would just like, you know, submit their will to you, submit to your will much more than they are, then that's why you would be happy then. And they're chasing something that isn't actually there, because the thing they're really chasing is that compassion and love. But the love requires an opening of yourself, right? It requires accepting heterogeny, accepting that difference within a partner, and embracing it. Like it's Iris Murdoch talks about like that love is this like, what's the technical term she uses? Like this decentering of your ego. You have to get rid of this controlling desire to have, you know, and accept Adorno. It's Adorno mimesis as well, if you're familiar. Accept something for that difference and cherish that difference. So it creates this really terrible pipeline, this vicious cycle that I think is a part of like capitalism psychosexually more broadly, which is you're told that gratification comes from the fulfilling of ego aims. You're given this the psychic structure of like the thing that you want, the thing that achievement that involves the thing that you want, the thing that means that you have achieved something in the world is you, especially for men, but now like this is changed with women in the workforce, for instance, for women too, is you're carving out your little feudal kingdom of things you can control. You're objectively successful. You meet these objective, and you have to like, you relate to any displeasure through this market logic of like, I need to acquire more, I need to gain more power, to have more control over my world. I need to gratify my ego urges. When a lot of that, the thing that you're actually chasing requires a decentering of your ego. It requires not engaging in the world, not relating to other people as a means to an end, as like an ability. What can this person give me? Which is the market logic, right? That's why the market is so powerful. That's why it works so well, is because you get a bunch of people who are only engaging with each other in work for the purpose of self-preservation, for their own needs. It creates, you know, this really advanced relation of production where everyone gets what they want. You know, that's the kind of, it's completely transactional. That's the Lukács as well as Adorno talk about, like, in different ways, like reification. That market logic manifests itself in other parts of the, society, other institutions. To where the point of, like, where people view love through this means, through this kind of logic of, like, it is a market interaction. You know, it's people talk about their market value in dating. You know, it's a job, dating is a job interview. And of course they're not going to actually be gratified. They're not going to find love where they're searching for it. 'Cause, like, the very structure of how they've come about doing this, of, like, what can you do for me? How can I gain something, gratify myself, is just always going to leave you blank. Like, you're searching, you're looking for it in the wrong direction. Saying Kant was right in a sense. I'm a Kantian. I think I'm a Kantian. My voice is so sore. I don't know why. And it's difficult. It's difficult to live a correct life when all of these social institutions, all of the things that are pushing you for are, like, telling you to do the wrong thing, telling you to view people in a way that is fundamentally wrong, is immoral, is unjust. That's difficult. It's hard to... I think this could have been a Sex and the City watch along. Yes, this stream? Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. That's a whole new thought. That's a completely original thought. Anyway, it's not good, folks. And Clavicular has now been charged with 2 felonies. Is having a fake ID a felony? Jesus Christ. That's crazy. I guess it is faking documents. Damn. Of course it is. I guess so. Shit. The mugshot is AI. Oh, is this fake? Okay. See, this is why I don't fucking... This is why I don't. Alleged fake ID controversy explained. It's so, we're all cooked. Like, Elon really did exactly what he wanted to do, which was just, like, destroy any capacity for, like, for there to be a sincere source of information that's trusted. There was this resentment from, like, Elon's specific type of, like, Silicon Valley fascism. Here's the real mugshot. That does look more real. Okay, so it is. There's this resentment about, like, it's unfair that most journalists are, like, liberal leaning and that they're the ones who get to decide what is true or not. And, like, I do think that the, like, fact-checking status quo from, like, maybe Trump 1 and Biden, where it's like you do have the journalist experts, you know, I rate this lie 3 Pinocchios. I do think that was completely untenable for, like, a bunch of reasons. One of which is just there is no public trust within journalism, partially in big ways because of journalists' fault, because of the 24-hour news cycle, quantification. The destruction of local news as well has been a disaster for, like, American democracy. So all these institutions get completely, like, gutted. And it's also just, like, you know, there is, like, I have this Foucauldian, you get the Foucauldian instinct of, like, whenever someone positions themselves as, like, I am the objective scientific, this is the institution I'm a part of, I'm the head of it, I am the arbiter of objectivity, I have the scientific understanding of the truth of this situation, it is my job to impart it to the other people. There's, like, a skepticism about that, of, like, and, you know, there are plenty of leftists who would make fun of the, like, you know, which one, who's the Pinocchio? Which institution was that? Some, Washington Post or something, that would, the pants on fire is a classic Trump one fact checking thing. Was that Washington Post? That's awesome. Democracy dies in darkness, folks. Because sometimes their fact checking would be deeply biased, deeply ideologically biased, where it's like, that's kind of subject, whether this happened is a lot more subjective. Yeah. A lot more subjective than is being made out, Snopes is a classic. But PolitiFacts, yeah. There's obviously a problem with that status quo. And I think a lot of the problems with it are what, like, the Elon Musk attempts are what the Elon Musks took advantage of people who are like, I don't trust these liberal journalists in their, high tower. Obviously, like, this status quo where anyone can get fucking verified. And it's clear that, like, there's like an ultra verified, there's like the golden check mark or whatever. And then there's like the light blue one as well, which is like even those people fucking lie a lot. They lie much more than verified people used to lie on Twitter. But that's exactly what Elon wanted, was just like, reality is whatever the fuck we want it to be. It's perfect for conspiracy theories. It's perfect for that sort of like chud-coded recontextualization of the internet. It really is like a reaction to January 6th as well. Because like the right reacted to January 6th. What's interesting? The QAA, or what was then QAnon Anonymous, podcast account actually got temporarily banned after January 6th because they did like such a thorough banning of like right-wing people that they were like, this is a pro-QAnon podcast, which is funny. But the right's reaction to that, like, because that was remember that moment when it was like, oh, they're fucked, like Trump is over. It's not. It really makes you think. It's just completely over. Like, they were so deeply scarred by that. And they were like, how do we ensure that that never happens again? How do we make sure that, like, there are these institutions, like, let's say on the internet, where lots of people are talking, there's a big, important exchange of information, where, like, we can't just arbitrarily be wiped by the libs. And they've done a very good job at, they did a very good job at facilitating that. That is the thing about, like, how much money Elon has lost on Twitter is, like, and I mean, I guess there's a fucking a bubble here, but, like, he's made all of that and more through fucking Grok, right? Like, he's doing fine, economically. And he got exactly what he wanted out of Twitter, which was to turn it into this just, like, misinformation, like, Nazi machine. I was hoping, like, this will ruin him. It's like, no, he's fine. He's totally fine. Tesla's like a $500 per share. I was looking at this recently. $400 per share. Are you fucking kidding me? What does it do? What is it that Tesla does? Is it a self-driving? Okay, it's like a little. Is it a self-driving fucking company? Is it EVs? Because it doesn't seem to be very good at either of those. They literally sell hype. It's literally like the brand is Elon. Is it the robots now? I don't. Yeah, you're joking. Fucking robots. The robots that fall over. That is like, I do get like Nick Landian about. I get like Landian about when they try to make the automated robots that are like human shaped. Which is to say that it's like, you think that if we had like actual servant robots that were like good, you think they'd be human shaped? Like, no, they would not. That's an inefficient form for this. This anthropocentrism for, the thing for AI is like very silly. Anyway. Who are we talking about? Cardi B fell over dancing on a robot at the Super Bowl. Did this just happen? Did you guys hear that Did you guys hear that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? Did you guys hear that? Why is no one talking about the fact that fucking Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? He could have killed him. Anyway, sorry. That's not funny. The robot, like, the kill switch turned on. It was like attack. Musk XAI SpaceX combo is the biggest merger of, he's merging SpaceX and fucking Grok. I cannot think of a more fucking combustible. Could you imagine? Sorry, I thought of a much funnier joke. Could you imagine fucking you're going to Mars or whatever, and the AI system, instead of HAL, it's fucking Grok. Your ass is dead so much quicker. It's gonna kill you so much quicker than HAL 1488. Yeah. There's a joke in there. I'm missing it, but that is a very funny concept. Instead of murdering you, it makes a bikini. Instead of like putting on the life support, it tells you about the truth about white South Africans. Was my Substack hacked? I hope not. I don't think so. Doesn't seem to be here. Anyway. That was to sunlock me, wasn't it? You'll never stunlock me. You did stun, you worked. Yeah, you have 3 minutes of oxygen left, and the AI is telling you about how Elon had absolutely nothing to do with that island. There's no post for years. Yes, you're right. No, I have so many posts ready for my Substack. It's just it got hacked, so I haven't been able to post. The new norm playing is in the background as you die in space. Yeah, your Grok is flooding you with AI generated Will Stancil sitcom videos where he's like, you know, getting killed by ice or whatever. Can we admit now that like Will Stancil is based?
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
Sadhap, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Thank you so much. Sometimes I feel weird when I say something very silly, right when someone gift subbed. No, we can't actually. All right. Look, he's out there. I haven't had a Will Stancil update in a long time. Thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Much appreciated. I haven't had a Will Stancil update in a long time, but he's out there. He's fucking out there. He's shadowing the ice agents. Is it Will Stancil sabotaging the Minnesotans following ice? Well, I'd second you do not have to hand it to ISIS. Treaster saying he had an unbased moment recently. Oh no. This is the problem. I shouldn't do discourse so I'm not caught up on things. He's having a huge fight with organizers. Well, that's a bummer. He'll have, yes, for the next 3 days, he's going to be based, and then he's going to get cringe again. Hot take, Gatorade should be thicker. That is a new sentence. You guys are coming up with so many new sentences today. Good job, chat. I feel like I never say the word chat. Because that's become like a thing. Was it in Luther? Like that song, like SZA says chat. Is that a Twitch reference? Is that a reference to streaming? Is 30 for 30? That's like, it is? That's fucking crazy. Is that a brown bear? Car Republic, thank you. That's crazy. Yeah, that's so strange. Streaming is it's gone through such a strange trajectory. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I should stream. I wish I streamed more and I got more on top of it because I've been streaming for a while. But then I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't know. I should call you all chat though. I'm like in the position where that's the least weird. Antifa punched Will Stancil.
Okay. Oh, shut up, man.
No.
I got a lot more than you have. Shut up.
He got. Is he? He's streaming this.
Shut up, man. I've done a lot more than you have. Shut up.
Will Stencil has fallen. Damn. That is Will Stencil's problem, is he is just like such an absurdly annoying person. Which like, oh, that's not the punch? Oh, okay. No, he got shoved. I see.
So, I've done a lot more than you have. Shut up. Jackass.
I thought everybody was still up there. Thanks a lot, guys.
He's filming people's faces. What the fuck? How's that? Oh no! Yeah, this is a million people.
I do think that like the biggest crime you can have on the internet is being annoying. Like overwhelmingly, that is the worst thing. That is the worst thing that you can do in terms of eliciting a negative response, because like that's the worst way that you could affect another person on Twitter, is by annoying them. And the point of scrolling on Twitter is to be annoyed. It's like a lot of it, it's a pseudo activity, the thing I said before, where it's like it feels like you're doing politics. It feels like, oh, I'm fighting this person who disagrees with me. But actually, you know, it has the same kind of emotional baggage of that. But obviously, you're completely powerless. You're doing nothing. And so the people you pay attention to are the people that bother you, that evoke some sort of negative emotion in. Not the people who do the worst things. Of course not. No, because you know, if that's the case, everyone would just only be replying to Donald Trump. But they're not. They're replying to the people who annoy them the most. Only way to win is to make someone mad or emotional. Yeah, I mean that's a classic of internet arguments. Worst crime on social media is being cringe. Exactly. But I have so much phlegm. My goodness. I don't think I'm sick. What else has been happening on the internet recently? So yeah, Clavicular got frame mogged, obviously. It's a tragedy. Does anyone have the clip of Clavicular and those like frat girls? Sorority ladies? Because that one is fascinating. Maybe I'll just search Clavicular. I feel like his clips are so fascinating. Everything, whenever I see Clavicular, I'm just like, there's so much going on here. Like, a lot of the times I think, it's like the thing I said before about like, influencers, people who make content, traditionally, or, you know, let's say a decade ago, it was much more based on like, someone has a product they make and they put it out and then people like it. Now it's far more that people are just completely beholden to an algorithm. And so they're a lot less self-aware, and they're a lot less like free in terms of what they're able to express, where it's like, you do this thing that we like, and that's the thing that you do. And the second you stop doing that thing, people are going to get bored of you. And so it produces these like much less self-aware, kind of sad, pathetic people, who have like the main, you see this with like QAnon influencers, where like a lot of the times they get into QAnon, and like adjacent, you know, QAnon doesn't exist really anymore, but like kind of similar. They get into it because they're just like, I want to be noticed on the internet. You know, there's this like, not necessarily histrionic, you know. It'd be ironic if I was like those fucking idiots, those pathetic losers who want to be noticed on the internet. That would be very funny for me to say, obviously. But it's someone who's like, I want attention on the internet, and they realize that like the best way of doing it is this really particular thing. And sometimes the particular thing is when they start talking about conspiracy theories. When they start, you know, pretending that they're a Pepe for some of these, like, you know, Trump 2 like women influencers. Chomsky was mid-gesture maxing with Ehud Barak. Does it make sense for a left critic of power to lime with an Israeli genocide gooner and get mocked by Davos Moids, escorted by teen Fords on Epstein Island? It's like, is this Max Blumenthal said that? Sorry, I didn't know. I didn't realize you posted it. Yeah, sure. Thank you, editor of the Gray Zone. Sure. Yeah, why not? Clavicular's mid-gesture gooning.
Your name likes you. What's your name? I want to eat you. Tell us your name.
Yo, W. His name is Kirk.
Kirk.
What do you mean, like?
Oh, they're racial slurs. Maybe I shouldn't watch it. Credit to @autistic clips for the video of sorority sisters using racial slurs. The internet's such a bad place. Anyway, where do we? Yeah. What was I talking about? I think China had the right idea. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That is like when I'm pessimistic, I'm just like, let's do that. No, you know, like, no, there's no end to capitalism, whatever. We'll just do that. That's if I become a completely resigned, pessimistic person who doesn't think there's a better world that's possible, I will just be doing the, like, you would just become a dengist. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big type of guy now. It's getting more popular as, like, white guy who loves China. We're really getting into, I feel like you're seeing way more of those. Maybe this is just my algorithm, admittedly. And again, I've said this before that, like, you have, like, maybe 1 or 2 years before it's identical to white guy who loves Japan. It's arguably already kind of that. Is Starmer cooked? We can get a Britain update too. You must go to Chengdu before it's too late. Yeah. Whimsical white boy who loves China. What about important offshoot white woman who loves Korea? Is that the worst? Is that the worst of those three? Like, white woman who really wants like a kind of twink, like, K-pop boyfriend. I actually think that might be the worst one of the three. It's definitely a contender. It's that or white guy who loves Japan. Admitted, I feel like I was a bit of a Korea boo when I was really good at StarCraft when I was like 13. I feel like I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of, like, K-pop from that period. Because on it, like, Your Honor, in my defense, all the good streamers you would watch, they were Korean players. If you didn't know, StarCraft is very popular in Korea. That's where the best players are. That's less the case now with StarCraft 2 because they kind of a lot of the Korean players went back to StarCraft 1. But I'm normal. Hate to be the one guy who loves Japan in a normal way. I'm gonna be honest. I am gay. If you're like, it's so hard to be the one person who does this thing normally. I think we all understand. Katie Mon, thank you. So what happens? McSweeney quits his PM chief of staff, saying he'll take full responsibility for advising Mandelson appointment. Oh, because this is an appointment in relation to. So he's in the Starmer is in the Starmer bunker right now. In bringing you Morgan Sweeney's statement, after careful reflection, I've decided to resign from the government. The decision to appoint Peter Mandelson was wrong. He also damaged our party. It's so fascinating. One episode I kind of want to do for QAA is like Epstein International, because it seems like the fallout of the Epstein files like has affected politics in a lot of other countries outside of America. Like the PM of Slovakia resigned, didn't he? Same with like the Danish crown prince. There's like a controversy. It seems just like Americans love child rape so much that they're just like, so what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what? Like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter to me. Is it Norwegian? Okay, what's the difference? What was I gonna say? Denmark, it's just like they sound sillier and their country is flat and kind of boring. That's really the main. All the Nordic kingdoms have some ties to Epstein. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Americans just don't, even though it's obviously mainly about Americans. Wasn't like Bill Clinton, isn't Bill Clinton like, I will testify? That's awesome. Clinton calls for the Epstein testimony to be held publicly. This is honest. It's kind of beast. I don't know what his game here is. Obviously, like the libbing out Blue Anon thing is that he's gonna like take one for the team and just like. Then calling for the full release of the Epstein files. It's the only move. You're probably right. You're totally right. It is the only move. I can't say that I thought about what I would do if I was Bill Clinton. I can't say I've ever had that thought before. But yes, I do agree. If I was Bill Clinton, this is the move. Yeah, no, no, absolutely. Not the Bill Agar. Bill off himself live. Bill goes out like that Croatian war criminal. Anyway. What was I talking about? I can't remember. I have not had like, my sleep has been so bad in the past like 2 weeks. Maybe like 3 weeks. And I only noticed because I have my Apple Watch. And it like actually keeps track of my sleep. And I wake up and I'm like, 4 hours. That's not good. Like I feel like drained, but I don't really feel tired. I don't know. It's the full moon. It's fucking with me. I think you're right. They say it doesn't, but it is. You need to be on 500. I do take melatonin. I'm like not tired right now. And I need lots of melatonin. I usually don't need that much. I do use a lot of melatonin, unfortunately. It is hard for me to sleep. You need to get the melatonin just like drip, the intravenous. Mercury's in Gatorade. How do I sleep with that on my wrist? I don't know. I don't notice it. I think my physical sensation isn't too bad. Because like I sleep with like this on a lot of the time. Like genuinely like the things you wear to shoot a gun. Because I live in the city and it's loud. What's blow going for in Vancouver? That is not. That's a very funny question to ask. No, I do not do cocaine. I need that. It's goated. It fucking rocks. You sound like clavicular. No. I'm on the meth builds. No, I'm just high off life. Genuinely, I have not been doing drugs. Please do not. Yeah, no, it's great. I recommend, because it used to be like really terrible and it was really difficult and they woke me up a lot. But then I just got used to it and now I can like sleep. I also have, I don't know why this is on my desk. I also use a sleeping mask and it's literally like I sleep the same in every environment when I have these. Because it's just, there's no sensation at all. It's fucking goated, honestly. Do you guys remember, I hope you don't, because like, it's this silly. I remember posting about this on Twitter and someone was like, what happens if someone robs your house? And I was like, then they're probably going to take all my shit. I don't know. And that created a whole discourse where someone was like, you have to understand that I have a family to defend and I have a gun in my house and I'm going to kill the guy if he comes in. And I was like, statistically, that actually makes it a lot more dangerous. Overwhelmingly, people are not coming into your house to kill you. But like, it's interesting how people respond to these sort of situations because they're like, I understand that statistically that's bad. That like statistically, if you have a gun in your house and you're like, I'm gonna fucking shoot someone if they, intrude and are in the house with my wife and kids. They understand statistically that if they try to do that, they're more likely to die. But they're like, but I'm different. Like, I would just, like, it's really interesting how easy it is for people to not think of themselves statistically if they're in control of something. Like, if you have no control of something, if you're in an airplane, for instance, and you're not flying, it's a lot easier to understand that, like, your life, the odds that it'll be in a crash, is much more based on that statistic. But then it's like when you're in control, it's like, well, but I'm goated. Like, you can't. And it's like, have you killed a person before? Have you shot? It's like, no, but like, I'm fucking, I'm determined, I waste some more water. I'll be right back. We love water, don't we, folks? Actually, I'm gonna get some chips too. Get a snack. Live chat greater than sign 911. I would say that that's probably true. I would say that my chat is better than 911. If we were to quantify how many 911s my chat is. My anti-gun ownership? I don't know. I think it's complicated. I think there's like 7 different discourses people use in relation to gun ownership. They kind of combine together as if it's like the question of should people own guns versus should they not. Goodbye Jet Black Hair. It was fun. Did she get a new face? I love the idea that like Laura Loomer's instinct was like, clearly the problem is I didn't get enough work done. She got a new AI model. Yeah, you're probably right. I think you're probably right. I mean, if Laura Loomer wasn't such an insane, it's a mask. Yeah. Insane evil person. No, if Laura wasn't such an evil fascist, I would kind of love her. She's like insane in a very endearing way, I think. The delegation of the Winter Olympics shows you what those countries were like demographically 30 years ago. The national soccer team shows you what these... I think this is just all Twitter is now, right? It's just tweets like this. It is easy to get, like, if you're really on Twitter, like, the wrong impression of how politics are, because you're just like... You're just like, well, this is clearly just like the average person's opinions. It's like, no, everyone, like, think about how much culture, like, politically incorrect board of 4chan had over the years. As, like, a place on a, like, somewhat big, but still incredibly niche and, like, weird website where you could just go and be a Nazi. Think about that cultural influence. And, like, now it's not Pol, it's Twitter. So think about the cultural influence and the, you know, I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself. Because I'm saying it's not indicative of it, but that's like, surely there's going to be a shit ton of Nazis at a much higher, you know, not at a much higher rate, but at a net amount. There's going to be, why would it be net? I don't know. Words are hard. I don't know if I can count. Surely there's going to be way more fucking Nazis. They'll be much louder. Sure, that's a word. You should be the one who is streaming. Let's say you take a crack at it, wise guy. You know that thing with Biden. And he's trying. There's like a puzzle piece. Is a puzzle and it's two pieces and he can't fit it together. Or the classic, the one in the top right. Those are my two favorite. What does that spell? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's a funny meme. Thank you. What you don't understand is that, like, at least, I mean, you probably do understand this, at least 70% of streaming is just like taking other people's ideas. Whether that's your chat, or whether that's like React content, whether that's like just, I like doing the Northernline thing, which is I'm also taking his idea. It's a double whammy there of just like thinking of a tweet that I find funny and being like, you guys seen that tweet? How should I piss in order to see manly? I feel like you know the answer to that. Like, do you think I'm going to be like, you should piss really quiet? You should make sure it hits like the side of the toilet seat. Like, you don't need direction on this one. You guys hear that Clavicular got piss mogged by an ACU frat, LSU frat? Anyway, what else is happening? This is great. Israeli bobsled pilot says team apartment was robbed. Oh, I honestly, you know what, I'm gonna be honest. I read Israeli bobsled pilot. And I didn't read the rest of this. Got a little bit more controversial for me to say it's great when you hit the middle of the sentence. Was robbed ahead of I could make it. Actually, that's a bad joke. I shouldn't make that. You did something. Say it. You know, no, I'm not gonna. That one's too bad, actually. Now you're robbing us. How do I phrase this in the less bad? You know, it's the something not the worst thing to happen to an Israeli in the Olympics. Anyway, sorry. It's worse if I don't lean into it. It's so much worse. Anyway, sorry, my fault. I'd like to apologize. It's a great film. That is a great film. You see the vision? Thank you. Also, folks, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can connect it to a Twitch account. You get a free subscription you can use on me. Should you immigrate to Vancouver? Absolutely. Palma, absolutely. come to Vancouver. It's very beautiful. No one really talks to each other though. Should you start a papoose? I actually don't know what that means. Oh, this is great. Yeah, you should. This is a great food. The answer is yes. You should. You would. I'm a fake Latina. That's true. Many are saying that I'm a fake Latina. Yes, that is one thing about Vancouver. The Latino food is. I mean, it's still, it's still not bad, but it's a lot better elsewhere. I think Vancouver food is generally quite good. The cuisine. Northern Line eats free at Palma's Papusa restaurant, as it should be. As it should be. The island is so torture. I'm so close but so far from Vancouver. Is there can you confirm or deny the stereotype that there's a lot of gay people in Victoria? Because I keep hearing that Victoria, it's like the the Chengdu of Canada. Is that the one? The Chinese city where there's a lot of lesbians. I've been, but not long enough to see how gay people are. I didn't really take a survey of that. Because my understanding is the rest of that island is just it's very it's enemy territory. Which I guess that's often what happens is when it's the stereotype of gay people being in Atlanta, that it's if you're in the South and you're gay, there's this place you go. It's an ecosystem. Vancouver should be called Vancouver. That way it could be a palindrome, which is kind of bisexual. I think that the least thing that Vancouver needs is becoming more bisexual. Does that make sense? And I'm bisexual. I can say that. Classic bi erasure. Was it bi erasure? I'm not erasing bisexuality. I'm saying that it exists. Now the value judgment on anyway, that's a different story. But it's not an erasure. You said it needs less. I don't think I said that. Your Honor, I just simply said that it didn't need more. Your Honor, what if Vancouver is as bisexual as it needs to be? I don't think that's erasure. I don't think I'm erasing anything. The title is doing psychic damage. It's great. It's beautiful. I've been thinking about it. Voice crack. Oh my god. My voice is so sore recently. I do not know why. The concept of frame mogging. I do love, the concept of mogging has become, sure. Wait, what is the... Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. I understand. The concept of mogging is so interesting because you see younger Zoomers do just believe this concept. They think it's they refer to they refer to it very casually, is in my experience. And the structure of it is a lot crueler, I think, than you might appreciate. Because mogging is just a natural state of like how people relate to each other in terms of how it's used. Like if you're beside someone and you look better than them, you have mogged them. Like it is always a competition necessarily. What is the clip? Did we watch this?
Appreciate you. Crimson Tide. You got me by a lot. I stopped gymming.
Like I do think that Clavicular has put himself in a hell of his own creation, because it's like if you're on stream and you're not frame mogging too, the addition of that, it's like you have to be better than everyone around you in literally every single way, or it's like, well, you got fucking framed mogged by that guy. It's this constant competition. I do think that like Zoomers have so much worse body issues than any other generation. The anecdote I always reference on stream is that like a lot of those, a lot of the, why is my brain just like stopped working? A lot of like gym membership programs are contingent upon people signing up and having motivation and then losing it. And so there's a certain amount of money they will just get from people who don't go to the gym. And a lot of them have had to change their business strategies because like Zoomers are signing up and they're like, no, I'm going. Like I have body dysmorphia and I need to change my body. Seems like a neo race science kind of thing. Yes. I mean, if you look at like the looks maxing forum, there's a very intense obsession with race because they're obsessed with beauty standards, right? And like the beauty standards are very white supremacist. And so you get like, I mean, looks maxing forums are mainly men. And so there are discourses like among men of color on there as well about like, oh, it's over for me. I'm not white. And obviously the inverse, or not the inverse, it's a connected phenomena of like white people also having some sense of like superiority in their beauty standards because of that. And one of the important components of looks maxing obviously is that they view all of this as objective. It's very like, it's ideological in the same way that like people think that a bottle of water is objectively, $4 or whatever. Like that's the Marxist critique of bourgeois political economists, that it's actually a relation between people. That like when the economy changes, that the value of things in terms of how they're exchanged also change. That it's not the price of a thing doesn't have anything directly to do with that thing itself. And they make the same mistake. The looks maxers with their own quote unquote value on the market, on the dating market, is they think like these are objective standards. They just always exist. There's no reason really to critique them because it doesn't matter, right? They want to be loved. They want to be liked. They're searching for recognition in some way, in a very twisted, malformed, in a very inefficient way of finding love. Maybe it's silly to say efficiency, or to call it a thing of efficiency. Even in HLIs, can people get more modeling contracts? Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like that's also like effective colonization in like sub-Saharan Africa. It's not 100% subjective either. I mean, it's just complicated. It's this complicated, mediation between our biology and how that biology interacts with the world. Humans are, because we're quite intelligent, I feel like this is a really necessary component of intelligence. We are like, not amorphous. We're very like moldable to our context. what's a better way of putting that? We absorb a lot of things. Like most of our understanding comes from absorbing things practically in the world. There's a structure to how we do that. But it's, very contingent upon, we're adaptive. Yeah. And like, it's not necessarily like, it's a form of adaptivity. Did I just fall out of coconut tree? Yeah. It's a form of adaptivity that like, is that a word? I don't think so. Sorry, the Biden counts. My brain is like, I have not gotten enough sleep. It's a form of adaptiveness that solidifies later on in life. We have these crucial adaptability. Yeah. Sorry, my brain is like just not working today. All that cocaine, exactly. No, I don't do cocaine. Please don't believe that. Is there microdosing crack? You think that would help? That would make me less like this? I stopped. Anyway, what was I saying? No, I'm on the clavicular diet. What was I saying? Fuck. What a day for Joseph Biden. 2026, we're back on crack. Exactly. What do I make of long COVID? I mean, it seems pretty objectively real. It's kind of hard to, a lot of it's hard to assess, especially because it's such a new phenomenon. And a lot of the symptoms are subjective. So it's easy to be like, oh, it's fake. But it really does seem like there's a lot of evidence that COVID has this like really bad neurological effect on people, and particularly particularly in certain instances. And long COVID is more than just a neurological thing. It's quite scary. It's also subtle enough that you don't get this moment with like anti-COVID vaxxers, for instance, and like COVID denialists, that where they're like, oh, you're right. This is clearly because I wasn't vaccinated and I've had COVID 5 times and I just assumed that it was a bad flu. Like I remember I mentioned I had COVID in like November of last year on Twitter, and people were like, you're still getting COVID? It's like, you are too, brother. Like, you just aren't getting tested and you assume that you have the flu. You will never get that moment with those people, because there's always like our health, and I understand why a lot of people go insane and about health and become like new age people, because like I also dated someone who has celiac, and she like, our discussions really opened my eyes to this kind of phenomenon, or this issue, which is like, one, the medical system is so alienating. You can blame individual doctors for that, but like it is like a structural issue, obviously. And like that structural issue manifests concretely in doctors specifically treating you poorly and seeming like they don't care about you. But like a lot of people have these amorphous health issues that like interface both with their mental well-being, because you can't make a distinction. And then oftentimes they have like relatively obscure, sometimes not even obscure conditions, especially if you're like a woman. Medical misogyny is still a very big problem. And you just, at some point it feels like incredibly alienating to try to continually be like, no, I actually think I have a problem. I think I have a problem. I don't, and eventually you get to a point where you stop trusting medical institutions. You're chasing these like oftentimes really based upon placebo effects, but not necessarily in certain instances, treatments that like make you kind of feel better. They alleviate, let's say, a symptom, even if they're not treating the direct, like the disease. What was I saying? It makes sense to me why a lot of people get into just like, yeah, I'm just meditating for 5 hours a day and I'm just getting really healthy, and it cured, my, really bad mental, my depression, let's say. Although obviously those are quite for depression. Maybe that's a silly example because that's a great treatment for depression. Why did I bring this up? My yoni angle to protect me from COVID. Oh yeah, but it's just like our health issues are so amorphous and difficult to concretely pin down all the times that like one of these trad guys who doesn't think COVID is real and didn't get the vaccine getting a lot more worse health effects, adverse health effects, it's very easy for them to just come to the conclusion like, oh, it's 5G, you know, oh, I need to take more supplements, I need to do these things that have a placebo effect, I need to exercise more, I need to like, it's really easy in health, especially because of how neurotic we get about our health when things aren't going wrong. It's a very important component of your life, obviously. You know, and it makes sense that these people will come to these bizarre conclusions, because like a lot of people are going to come to bizarre conclusions or incorrect conclusions. There are plenty of people with very treatable, let's say, disorders. Like empirically, they should be noticed by the healthcare system. If they're reporting these symptoms, that it should come up, and they're being abandoned, right? Either because, you know, access to, let's say, mental health services is so expensive. I know in Vancouver, I'm sure this is the case in everywhere. Like there's a big shortage of GPs, like general practitioners, like family doctors. And it's like really hard. It takes a long time to get an appointment. And the appointments often is just like, you know, for graphics cards. Yeah, there's a big shortage. There's a big graphics card shortage. It's all over BC. Yeah. What do you think the impact of more people using LLM AI to consult about their health moving forward? Yeah, it's really grim. Because it's interesting because like, I guess in one stream I don't have to worry about discourse. Because like, artificial intelligence is a great tool for health, for healthcare, especially if like we're in a context where it needs to be automated. Not large language models necessarily. That's really not, especially just giving someone, but like that, the capacity for pattern recognition in a lot of AI. It's like, yeah, no, there's a lot of good research being used. AI is used in health all the time. But yeah, I mean, I know someone who is a doctor, who's a GP, in America, and he tells me that like, maybe I should have I mean, that's so generic. It's such a, he tells me that like so many it's interesting hearing from the other side. Cause like I've had health symptoms where it's just, I literally had to complain for like a year. And I'm like, no, I think this is the problem. I think this is the problem. And they're like, whatever. Eventually I yell, and then I get the proper treatment. It's like, that was the problem. It's interesting hearing from the other side where it's like, yeah, I get people who like come in with the AI has told them that they have a certain thing and that they don't really understand it very well. And it's obviously they don't have it. And it's very annoying to have to just continually deal with that. But obviously, again, like the tension there is not like, is a manifestation of an unjust institution where like the lack of the injustice there manifests itself through your direct relation with this specific person. So it's really easy to be angry at that person as opposed to being angry at the structure that has like abandoned you, like given you really poor mental and physical health outcomes, and then not giving you a proper avenue for someone to really sit down and like a professional to sit down and like really look at you and try to see what's wrong, because that just costs a lot of money, and especially if you don't have the money. I'm in therapy now, which is great, and it's pretty expensive. Thankfully I can afford it, but a lot of people can't, and it's hard to. Lacanian, that would be awesome. No, Lacanian psychotherapy would be very funny. No, just some CBT, You be slanging that dope. Thanks. Do I recommend it? I've had a couple sessions. I like it. Talk therapy. Talk therapy is, I think talk therapy works really well. My opinion on a lot of psychology is I think that, it's something, replication crisis, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously there's a lot of issues. The more that I looked into certain components of the discipline for like science and transition, the more it does seem like a lot of the times they're just like, well, this kind of just works. Like, we don't really know why. And maybe there's other methods that work better. I've seen that with like the data surrounding like hypnosis. Was it hypnosis where they're like, no, it actually kind of works sometimes. We don't really know why. Because that seems like a fake thing that they did 200 years ago. Yeah, but it's very clear, like, it's very clear that talk therapy is very helpful. That's just the way that we are as people, as beings. We're very social. Working through with someone else, especially someone who's very good at attending to problems, has experience, and also, let's say has an objective structure, a program to work through problems with someone that has been shown to work in the past. Like, same with electroconvulsive therapy. In certain instances, it works. Yeah, it's just, yeah, no, it's good to be in. It'll be funny to do like Freudian psychoanalysis. I don't know if I would want to have to fucking find a psychoanalyst who's not evil. Also a big cocaine guy. You know what's actually funny? Fun fact about Freud. Why not Jungian? Well, I told you I was looking for someone who was an evil. You think I'm gonna go Jungian to reduce the odds of someone being evil? Yeah. What was I gonna say? I can't remember. Yeah, I mean, oh, fun fact, Freud, thank you. The thing about like how he loved doing cocaine, when he writes about the effects of, I don't know if it's exactly cocaine. Maybe it's is it opium or something? That he's like, I can suddenly focus. It's really clear he's just like self-medicating ADHD. He was doing a speedball. He's really getting the kind of high that only junkies feel. It's so funny, yeah. It's interesting, like Freud, I don't know, people don't give Freud enough credit. If you read the shit that other people in that discipline, the broader discipline of, I guess you could say, psychology, the psi disciplines at the time were saying, and then you look at Freud and it's like, yeah, no, he's coming up with all of this, he's gonna have some misses, but plenty of hits, I think. One of the issues with psychoanalysis in the 20th century, under like Anna Freud, for instance, when it kind of is it becomes dogmatic in a way, like the Marx quote where he's like, I'm not a Marxist because like there are people who follow Marx. There are people who like follow me, Marx, who have some sort of dogmatic attachment to my idea, but I don't, right? If I think that something is wrong, I change it. And that's, it's the same with like Freud not being a Freudian. Like Freud was very good at responding to empirical evidence of his time. He was a man of science, and the discipline becomes very dogmatic. The discipline of psychoanalysis is unable to, for a very long time, account for, the effect that lithium has on people who are bipolar, which is like, oh yeah, it turns out that in a lot of, when you have a lot of these clusters of symptoms, that empirically, clinically speaking, the best treatment for them is to give them these drugs. And that was like a very difficult thing for psychoanalysts at the time to deal with. You can see this actually in the divide in early trans healthcare, where like the Freudians are the most evil by far. Because the Freudians are like, oh, you have this negative feeling about wanting to be a different sex. Like, let's work through it with psychotherapy. It's like the behaviorists who are at least recognize like, well, you know, we did like, sure, you know, with psychotherapy, we want to make sure if it's all possible that you don't do this, that you don't, if we can do that. But if the feeling persists and we make you jump out through these billions of hoops and you're going to be hot enough when you transition, you know, maybe we'll give you access to hormones eventually. Freud is like for his time very good about gender stuff. And also gay stuff, which is again, like, this isn't a product of like Freud being woke. It's a product of Freud responding to empirical evidence, because it's clear that like convergent therapy doesn't work. And that was evident to Freud. In fact, like, I'm going to butcher this story, but there was one, this family that went to Freud and was like, hey, our daughter is gay. Can you make her not gay? And his response was, I mean, this is still crazy, but it's like, well, you can't actually make someone not have that desire. But like, you know, the best we can do is maybe make her bisexual. I am gay! Like, the best you can do is that, which... Kayaks, thank you. Like, that's the best case scenario here. You can't ungay yourself. And Freud also, like, Freud is equipped in a separate instance. Maybe this was the same one. Actually, no, it might have been the same instance. Freud was trying to comfort the parents by saying, like, there is nothing inherently pathological about same-sex attraction. Insofar as it, like, there is nothing about it intrinsically that it has a negative effect on an individual's ability to function. Like, it clearly doesn't have that effect. Anti-Oedipus take. Oh, I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I think what they're doing is really interesting, and I think it takes a lot of time to like appreciate that project. I just think getting rid of the repression thesis is such a bad idea. Like, getting rid of repression, it's such a bad idea. I just think that's so useful. Like, it's in the becoming. I don't know. Like, the focus on, it's interesting, like, a lot of Deleuzians kind of flatten Freud, and they think they read, this is a classic thing of every thinker, and forgive me because I haven't thought about these things too intimately in a little while, but like, they read Freud as thinking first and foremost about desire, that everything else stems from desire and it's only desire, which is not true. Like, metaphysically not true. And the primacy of desire in Deleuze and Guattari, I think, creates these practical flaws. The best example I can think of, or it's a good, you know, it relates to, what is her name? I really like her writing. You know, the essay, like, Sissy Hypno Made Me Trans. What is her name? Andrea Longshu. It's a provocative title. But the how do I explain this? How do I explain this? It's a very provocative title. I love her. She's got such hot takes. That's a thing, you know, you write that a decade ago. You don't write that now. It's a very different political environment. How do I conceptualize this? I had this idea concretely. Isabel Fault, another classic. It's fucked up what they did to her. Fuck, how do I explain this? The general thesis of the oh yeah, no, okay, I got it. Sorry, I remember the thing I was gonna say. The general thesis of that the cisgender made me trans thing is it's very Deleuzian, and the conclusion is like, well, I had this desire, like that, like fetish appealed to me. I had that desire, and like desire to be trans, to push yourself in that direction, to be vulgar, to vulgarize the argument, is connected to that, to the desire to enjoy that fetish thing. And I think like the problem with that is that like to become trans requires this like repression. It requires like it's not simply just this like libidinal like lust, libidinal energy into this idea. It requires a shaping of the self over a long time that cannot merely be driven by the libido, just the raw libido. It requires this repression into the ego. And like those are conceptually important. Those are importantly distinct concepts. And there's a reason why, like, I mean, there are some people who are into that fetish and then also transition, obviously. But there are plenty of them who aren't, because like you have to do a lot of things that you don't want, that don't relate to immediate sexual gratification in order to transition. Requires a form of psychosexual motivation that isn't just raw libidinal attachment, which I'm explaining poorly, but do you think Liv Agar would have been woke if she was around in the modern day? What do we think? I don't think so. That's not desire, that's the flow between the desire machines. I know, there's all the fucking it can exist in attitude, yeah, but it's like it's a lot less useful clinically speaking. And I'm gonna be undescript. It's how I feel about Guattari's definition of fascism. Is like it explains it. It just explains it in a much less interesting way than like the Freudian explanation. It's much less like it takes as a given that certain components of the psyche. It's very anti-enlightenment in the sense that, or it's less enlightenment that it takes a given that there are important parts of the psyche that are just cannot be understood structurally, and that's kind of the whole point, I guess. But I find it less useful. I don't know. I see the argument. I used to be a Deleuzian. You can see I'm not. Haven't thought about it in a while. You can see from my terminology how I. Anyway, what else is happening on the internet? Is there any other? Oh yeah, Starmer's top aide quits over the Mandelson Epstein scandal. That's great. Tumblr went down. That's terrible. Yeah, so Starmer seems to be cooked. I know that there was something I was looking at recently where it was the mayor of Manchester wanted to run for a seat in Manchester because it was a Labour Party guy who was going to actually, like, whose intention was to challenge Starmer for leadership, Andy Burnham. And then, like, there's a rule in the Labour Party about whether someone can leave. Like, they have to ask permission to be able to leave an important role like that as a mayor, because, like, Reform is going to win that election probably, and change to being a member of Parliament. And the people who had decided to do that were all Starmer stooges, you know, like it was Starmer cronies, people appointed by Starmer. And they said that he wasn't allowed to stand as an MP. which was like, there is technically an argument to be made of like, oh, you know, but we don't want you to stand as an MP because we don't want to lose that's a really important municipal position, mayor of one of the biggest British cities. But obviously it was treated as a direct, you know, it's political calculation, and it was a mistake probably by Starmer that, you know, you need to let the guy be able to challenge you. Starmer seems to be in his Starmer bunker right now. He's not doing well. What was the story about him being like depressed now? If Starmer, no, I was thinking of Assad, wasn't I? Did you guys see the Assad story? Did you all see I don't know how real it is, but I choose to believe that it is real. Apparently Assad was like, here we go. I mean, it's the Atlantic. As his regime crumbled, Bashar al-Assad was obsessed with sex and video games, and he refused every lifeline he was offered. Palace insiders told Robert Fortworth that Assad could have saved his regime if he hadn't been so stubborn and vain. He had his own little Epstein thing going on. Yeah, it's so funny. It is like, campists are so awesome when they were like, it's the problem with campism in general, where it's like, you think it's easy to think, like, hasn't Kella Walsh has been up to, like, she's been tweeting about how amazing it is to be a woman in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Where it's like, things have to be simple. And so, like, it's like this weird kind of like inverse of American exceptionalism. Not even American exceptionalism, but the Manichaean image that like American nationalists have of geopolitics, of like, anyone that we're allied with is good. And it's like, no, it's actually the inverse. Anyone we're allied with is bad, and anyone who opposes us is good. Which is like obviously just cope, right? I am gay. Mikachu, thank you. It's a bigger cope than like Dengus, who are like, well, China's going to do communism, but it's a connected cope, right? Because it's like, what if the actual concrete like capitalist state powers that are opposing American imperialism were just all based? Wouldn't that be so easy? Wouldn't that be so fucking easy if they just all, you know, if Prof Weevil, thank you for the tier 1. What if like, you know, the protests in Iran were actually all CIA, and they actually didn't have any legitimate grievances with the Islamic Republic, and you know, they're trying to take away a bad thing, because like the reality is a lot more complicated than that. US is uniquely bad, not bad because of other governments. Also, yeah, that's why I didn't want to say like it's the inverse of American exceptionalism, because I do believe that the United States is at least a unique form of evil to be moral instead of analytical. Color revolution theory. My favorite like so-called color revolution was the Canadian Communist Party, when they were dealing with like literal like sexual abuse allegations. Like the Central Committee's response was like, this is a color revolution. And it's like, yeah, no, against the the CIA really wants to make sure that the Communist Party of Canada, it's fucking the 7 members it still has. The protests were infiltrated by Mossad. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they were. You know, like, you know, the CIA helped the Algerians break free against France, right? And, you know, admittedly, that's a different CIA than the CIA today. That's like the liberal wing of the CIA that no longer exists. Like, it's complicated. I don't know. There was a liberal wing of the CIA. There was a fascist wing of the CIA, which has now become ascendant. It was ascendant in like the 70s. Because interests are complicated, right? The American position on decolonization was the same, very similar to the Soviet position, which is this is an unstable situation that's bad for business. We want to produce these post-colonial nation states that like are capitalist and we can do deals with. We can have the intermediary like national bourgeois class that we can do business with that's stable, so it's good for business. And whatever the French are doing is not good because it's not good for business. And also, you know, these emerging states could be potential allies in the fight against, you know, the Soviets. They're anti-Israel parts of the CIA. Well, there was a major shift there. I believe it's in the 60s, right? There's a major geopolitical shift in the Israel-Palestine, the geopolitical kind of nature of the Israel-Palestine conflict. People treat like Israel being a Western puppet as just like a thing that's always existed. Then it's like, well, the enemies of America hated Israel, but it's much more complicated than that. As it turns out, especially when interests are much more directly like economic as opposed to ideological. But even when they're ideological, like when you have a complicated conflict with a bunch of different people involved, a bunch of different heterogeneous interests, even like not like states don't have necessarily heterogeneous interests. Different institutions in states have different desires. There's conflict between the DEA, the CIA, the FBI. They're broadly on the same team, but they want to do different things. You get strange situations. You get shifting alliances, for instance. The Czechs were delivering weapons to Israel in 1947. I mean, yeah, that was like, people don't appreciate this because I think like there's an image of leftism in the 20th century, far leftism, as always anti-colonial, which is not the case. It's certainly not the case. You get this with like anarchists, I think, are a bit quicker on this. But even like the Soviet attitude to like Siberia is like continuing much of the colonial relations before, but through a discourse that looks more Marxist, of, you know, development. What was I going to say? What was I about to say? But the leftist view of Israel was like, this is a decolonial national movement. You know, or not this is like a oppressed nation, oppressed left-wing, you know, they have the kibbutzes. Israel is a very left-wing state for most of its early existence. You know, the Labor Party was very strong. Like that was much of the attitude. Vanessa said something about Israel too. Yeah, I mean, it's solidified in a radically different way now. Especially with the death of Israeli labor. One of the primary economic motivation forces behind like settlerism in the West Bank, like Israeli settlers, was the like economic collapse, downturn in the 70s in Israel, and the shift away from labor and the strong social safety net, this, you know, high, you know, labor participation in unions, towards a much more neoliberal system, to, you know, implementation of neoliberalism, which led a lot of people to be more desperate. And so you give them an economic incentive to do settlerism, which is not to moralize it, which is not to say like, well, what are they going to do? Because you're always going to be able to explain people's actions broadly with materialists, you know, their material interests. That was an important force in facilitating that settlerism. But yeah, like the status quo afterwards is treated as like a foregone conclusion. It's why I feel like you see a lot of like settler leftists, and you look at like their image of what they want in terms of society, and it's just like Israel in 1955 or like 1950. That's what they want, really, fundamentally. One of Robert Maxwell's jobs as a go-between for arms between the USSR and Israel. That was it. Maxwell's stuff is in the Epstein files was really interesting as well, because there seems to be something about how like he was trying to blackmail, was it Israel? And they tried to get him killed because of it. Oh, did they kill him? No, they kill him. I guess they did kill him, didn't they? To save his bankruptcies, he was like, I'm gonna tell all these intelligence agencies, like, you know, I'm gonna tell the CIA, I'm gonna tell the Soviets, all these stuff, unless you bail me out. And what they did have him killed? I can't remember. He died under mysterious circumstances on his yacht. Was that got him aboard the Lady Ghislaine? Keir Starmer will address the nation tomorrow. Is it Jover? It's Starmover. Anyway. He's gonna call snap elections like Macron. Keir Starmer is gonna dissolve. He's gonna create the first British Republic. He's gonna dissolve the parliamentary system, create a new one. No, yeah, he's probably gonna resign. That's funny. Who replaces him, chat? What do we think? Ugh, so much phlegm. There are no good options. Yeah, it's Bashar al-Assad. Apparently it's not over. Oh. No longer expected destination. I like the idea that he's just like depressed and he's like, I'm gonna do it. He's like, no, I can't do it. I'm too much of a coward. But it's about resigning. Yeah, David Cameron comes back as a Labour Party. He'd fit right in the Starmer Labour Party, I guess. Ugh. Ed Miliband plots return. That's awesome. Modeling it on Mamdani. That's so beast. That would be very funny. Everybody Mamdani. That's the funny thing about Mamdani. I don't know. He really, like, I feel like people are treating Mamdani a lot like he's like betraying the left. He is just like doing what he promised to do. It is a bit of a fell for it again award. Like, he ran as a Democrat who wanted to make groceries cheaper and, you know, give universal health care. And then he's doing doing it. You can't say he's not doing it. He endorsed Kathy Hochul, right? In this for the gubernatorial race. Was there a controversy about that? I saw that Hassan was beefing with Stacey K, which is awesome. Get her ass. People are mad. I feel like is that a surprise? He's doing politics. I mean, I feel like this was obvious, and I feel silly for being like, well, maybe, because it's just like obvious. I don't know. It's just obvious. Like, he ran achieving those specific goals, and he's doing the thing that best facilitates him achieving those specific goals. And maybe people got excited because he was like, had a more principled, especially maybe initially, position on Israel. They wanted to wait longer to get more concessions. Okay. I guess I can't speak to that. That specific. If it's the question, if it's not an ideological question, if it's a question of strategy, I don't know. I would have to imagine most of the criticism is ideological. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then it's more interesting. Oh yeah, and then also, I don't know. Someone was talking about remember the discourse by Cassie Pritchard about, because you guys were sending me discourse stuff to talk about because I haven't been on Twitter, about how she was like, obviously banning surrogacy is stupid. It would be like banning services. I actually think she's right. I think she's probably correct. I think that's probably true. I don't know. I thought about it more, and it seems like it would be silly. It would be kind of impossible. In a similar way to like, well, look at all these other inequitable relations. Like these services, it's so inequitable. And it's like, yeah, like imagine you can just like manage those labor, you destroy those labor relations through just banning them is like silly. Like, it should be incredibly regulated in a way that it's not now. But the idea of it is probably silly to think we can just make it make that technology not used at all. Yeah, probably not. And then it's not as if like unpaid surrogacy is better than the paid version, especially. Like it's less bad maybe, but it's still like, especially in an unregulated state, pretty bad. So the girls are fighting.
Enormous disappointment. Okay? Straight up. If this cooks my chances of linking up with Zoran while I'm out here or in the future, so be it. I have to fucking stay honest. And I have to say my piece. Okay? This is a ridiculous moment. Totally unacceptable. Especially considering that it didn't have to come so fucking early. While Hochul has signed off on universal pre-K, there's a lot more in Zoran's agenda that she must sign off on, especially as it pertains to a wealth tax that he wants to apply in the city of New York.
Lots of countries have banned surrogacy commercially or totally without problems. But should we ban it completely? Like the technology shouldn't be used? I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if that's... There's a lot of problematic manifestations of it that should legally not be allowed to exist.
That it didn't have to come so fucking early.
I don't know if that's true. I think that would be... Yeah.
While Hochul has signed off on universal pre-K, there's a lot more in Zoran's agenda that she must sign off on, especially as it pertains to a wealth...
Maybe women should be able to make their own decisions about their body. Do you think that's the same as surrogacy? As banning surrogacy? Do you think if surrogacy exists that it means that a woman is not able to make a decision about her own body? Do you think it was the same thing?
Wealth tax that he wants to apply in the city.
How is it not? How is it? I don't understand what you mean. What I don't understand intrinsically about like carrying a baby that it does not your genetic code that has anything to do with not having control over your body intrinsically.
City of New York. And I'm not so certain that assurance has come. I don't think this is the smart move. There is no guarantee that Kathy Hochul will, once she actually secures...
Why are you banned from carrying any baby? I don't know what that means. Women cannot use heroin while pregnant? I just think that's an absurd equivalency.
Power once again when the election is over and
I don't think that carrying a baby that's not your genetic code for someone else is the same as using heroin while you're pregnant. I don't understand why those are the same in any way. In Canada, it's criminal in Canada to do surrogacy for money. Yeah, I feel like the way that it exists now without money is still probably not good, or it still runs into the exact same problems. The same infantilizing rhetoric towards sex work, because there's exploitation of work, people can't make the decision. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be strange. I love surrogacy in a world without capitalism. Yeah, but do we think we can like ban? Do we think that that's a good solution? Especially when it's like, I don't know. I mean, surrogacy can do like things that are incredible. I think that's like a technology that can create things that are good. I think it would be silly to ban it completely because it produces because it results in unequitable because like the thing about like maybe sex work is a good example, as a good comparison, I guess.
Wins is going to actually turn around and do
Yeah, I don't
anything
know.
for Zoran, and that if she doesn't do that,
Sorry.
Zoran will just fucking fall.
I'm doing the ADHD thing where we're looking at two things at once. Yeah. It's about the commercialization of women's body autonomy. I mean, I know. Seen pics of Mark Carney and his wife with Ghislaine Maxwell. Is that real? Is this true? I thought he wasn't in the files. Commercial and altruistic surrogacy are different, but they run into most of the same problems, or a lot of the same problems. It'd be silly to imagine like we should just ban altruistic surrogacy, because like there are instances where that's produces something like what's a better way of articulating that? I think that we understand when something can do something incredible, the new technology, that banning it is a silly conclusion just because, how do you put that? Most places don't ban altruistic but ban commercial. I know. I feel like we talked about this before. What's a better way of putting it? If surrogacy were to become legal, it should be heavily codified in law, which won't happen. Why not? I mean, if we're not believing that surrogacy can be actually regulated properly, why do we believe that we can ban it? Doesn't that like presume that like I don't think it's very difficult. I don't think it's very difficult to like codify in law that like, well, the lady who's doing the surrogacy can keep it if she wants, or she can abort it if she wants. Who's carrying the baby? That like that's a risk that you run if you're like, I'm gonna put my genetic, and also that like if you or the male or the female parents have some really negative birth like risks that come with childbirth, that like the mother has to know about that, and that it's like criminal for you to not, because that's not the case in a lot of American, because that is like a service that you could see producing, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. You know, it's the idea of banning it completely does seem utopian. It seems like plenty of the other instances where there's a really unequitable, there's the potential of creating a very unequitable relation in virtue of like a service being provided from one person to another, that produces positive results, but that we would obviously not say in all of those service economy. What's the word I'm looking for? In all of those, for all those services, I think we pretty intrinsically are like, well, it would be silly to ban it just because it has the risk of producing inequitable results because one person is paying another person. I think that would be like a silly conclusion. If you think that with sex work, for instance, I mean, I guess the analogy, the example that Cassie used, which was paying someone to clean your house, which is a little different because there's a much but yeah, I mean the conclusion of like we should just ban it In those instances, it seems obvious that that would be a silly conclusion in the current relations of production. You can't sell your organs in most places in the world. Do we think that that's the same thing? I don't know. I don't know if those are equivalent. Maybe they are. Legally comes from the same place. I don't know what that means. Yeah, because I guess voluntarily giving an organ to someone is, although I think that altruistic surrogacy is much more problematic than voluntarily giving. Like, it's already, maybe the instinct I have here is I didn't realize how problematic voluntary surrogacy can be, and how there's still quite a few issues with that. And those issues seem to be quite similar to, altruistic surrogacy. There are quite a few issues that are equivalent that you also run into with paid surrogacy, especially in a context where it's like actually regulated. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like it also just doesn't seem like I don't know. I mean, I guess I wonder how that develops later. Because one component of it, I think, as well, is it seems like this is something that's happening. Surrogacy is going to become more prevalent. There's going to be a bigger demand on states to, like, actually not simply, like, ban it, but make it a legally recognized thing, legally recognized contract. Carney and his wife went to a festival hosted by Carney's sister-in-law. They saw Carney's wife went to school with Ghislaine, and they know each other since the 90s. Okay. So they were at, like, the same festival or something. Surrogacy is a cosmetic surgery. It's something like that. But it also, like, you're exporting the labor of childbirth, which now does become, socially necessary. It has a value. I don't know. I think it's more complicated than I thought it was, is what I'm saying. Sorry, let's look at it's so much nicer to have an opinion on the stream than voicing it on Twitter, because it's like when you put an opinion on Twitter, it's just your opinion now. Like, you're the AI lady, to use a random example. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I will admit.
All right, what does the sun say?
This is a ginormous disappointment. Okay? Straight up. If this cooks my chances of linking up with Zoran while I'm out here or in the future, so be it.
Girthmaster4_ followed you. Wow.
I have to fucking stay honest, and I have to say my piece, okay? This is
goat.
a ridiculous moment. Totally unacceptable, especially considering that it didn't have to come so fucking early. While Hochul has signed off on universal pre-K, there's a lot more in Zoran's agenda that she must sign off on, especially as it pertains to a wealth tax that he wants to apply in the city of New York. And I'm not so certain that assurance has come. I don't think this is the smart move. There is no guarantee that Kathy Hochul will, once she actually secures power once again, when the election is over and wins, is going to actually turn around and do anything for Zoran. And that if she doesn't do that, Zoran will just fucking fall flat on his face. Hochul is an opportunist and Delgado is an opportunist, but Hochul is an opportunist who is much more likely to win and who he has to work with at least through the next year. If he didn't back her, he would have to put up a hostile relationship for at least a year and most likely his whole term. Maybe you question the timing, though. That's precisely what I'm questioning. Because if you want to fucking secure leverage, you need to get more assurances from Kathy Hochul rather than immediately going in. If you
Do we know the assurances? Do we know the conversation between Hochul and Mamdani? Like, what does getting more assurances look
take
like?
your sweet time in your endorsement of Kathy Hochul.
That's why Zoran has no leverage right now. How does he get leverage? What leverage does Mamdani have? My understanding was just like that Mamdani needs to hope that like Hochul recognizes that he is popular enough and his policies are popular enough that attaching herself to Mamdani or allowing Mamdani to do the things that he wants to do, which like he needs her permission for, is a politically useful strategy.
What you can at least do is apply more pressure through Delgado. The pragmatic solution here is to see where Delgado goes instead of...
I don't know. I actually don't know. This doesn't seem like an ideological thing. It seems like a strategic thing.
Cutting the wind off of Delgado's sails.
She stopped... Oh, she's stopping the childcare thing? Oh, really? I thought she was like in on that.
With the incredible momentum that the DSA...
no, she committed to it? Oh, she did. Oh, I see. She did a 180 on it. Hochul did a 360 on it. No, she agreed to it. She used to not want it.
Slate has in these elections. What I'm frustrated by is this. I want to be fucking radically transparent, radically honest in this moment. Because it's much easier for me to sit around and just be like, Zoran is my guy. He's doing the right thing. He's doing the best thing, and just glaze him. Okay? But I have to be fucking honest here. What I worry about as someone who has not only endorsed Zoran and has said like he's the real deal over and over again.
So he's saying the leverage is like, I could endorse your opponent. You don't think Zoran is good at doing political strategy? I feel like that's like the one thing he is good at. I feel like that's like the one thing Zoran has a mind for. Like the credit you can give to him.
My hopes, my dreams for Zoran Mamdani is that he utilizes the Democratic Party to build socialism, and that he doesn't become a person.
He's not going to do that. I'm sorry, he's not going to do that.
Utilizes.
Mamdani is going to use the Democratic Party to, what is it? To get the grocery store thing, to get child health care. Or universal health care for New Yorkers.
The DSA.
Which is kind of what he was, again, I think that's what he was running on. Right? I don't know. It's a huge win for Mamdani. Yeah, I mean, it's it's like social democracy, right? I mean, his aspirations are social democratic in nature.
As a door-knocking operation to build the Zoran brand and build the Democratic Party. At the end of the day, if it became clear that Kathy Hochul was going to absolutely fucking win, then of course Zoran should endorse Kathy Hochul. But every moment up until that endorsement is an opportunity to secure more concessions. If Zoran waits in this moment, he can take advantage of Delgado putting pressure on Hochul to assume more left-wing positions. And yes, I do think Zoran Mamdani has that level of political capital.
Maybe. I'm curious what we don't know that the Mamdani team does. Like, I wonder if the Mamdani evaluation... Mamdani is a very, my impression of Mamdani, and one of the reasons why he's like a smart politician, is that he runs very anxiously. He's very worried. Like, it's what you want. It's the opposite of the Hillary Clinton. It's like you always run like you're 10 points behind. If your goals are universal childcare, etc., like you run like that's even if it seemed clear that you might get it, which I don't think it was ever clear that he was gonna get those. So but like you do the thing to ensure you're most likely to be able to reach those goals. Which is, he made the evaluation of like having him at least more principled stance on Palestine, and he was like, why would I? That doesn't affect, like, I'm trying to do these things. Or more specifically, if that becomes a liability for getting the goals that I want done, then it's clear which one of those is more important. I think that's a calculation that's obvious Mamdani's making. This is proof of that anxiety. Yeah, I mean, I guess this could be a situation where, because again, like, I think that Hassan has maybe more of an aspiration for Mamdani than Mamdani has for himself. Might be a part of this. That Mamdani sees like a path where, it's like, this is a silly analogy, but like sometimes when you're at an advantage in chess in like the mid game and you're like way ahead of material, you'll do a trade that like is maybe less ideal, but it gives you this simplified end game where you know you can win. Like Mamdani is like, I could do all this crazy machinations, but I see the simplified end game where I'm on Hochul's good side, and that gives me a much higher likelihood of getting what I want to done. He's not pushing his luck. He runs in a very anxious way, possibly to a fault. I mean, ideologically speaking, definitely to a fault. Yeah, I feel like that's probably, I don't know the specific, a lot of the specific details here. And I wonder what Mamdani knows that we don't. He relies on her trustworthiness, but like, he needs to rely on her trustworthiness, right? That was just always fundamentally a flaw with Mamdani's political strategy, is you need the guy upstairs, the one level above you, the governor's approval for a lot of the things he wants done, right? Right? Like, I feel like that makes sense. It feels club to say he secretly knows something we don't. It feels like almost QAnon. I guess so. I don't know. I mean, he knows something we don't, in that he knows his private conversations with Hochul. How much that means, I guess, is not necessarily. It could be a meaningless thing. He's the mayor of New York. That gives the New York State most of its revenue. He has a lot of leverage. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know. It's him looking at the city finances and realizing how much help he needs from her. Is that a meme? I don't know. I thought it was Hochul, but Hassan is pronouncing the C and the H. Is the modus operandi of the DSA to vote in socialism through the Democratic Party? There's a schism in not the party, in the institution. The New York DSA is much more lib. It has a much more like desire to work with liberal Zionists. Intention to do entryism into the Democratic Party. But it's split. It's a split. It's a big organization. There's a lot to be thought about, as there are many money interests that want to see him fail, and Hochul is just an establishment stooge. Yeah. Seems like another bronycrat. Yeah. They just don't have that Machiavelli. Well, I do think he he's good at strategy. I feel like Mamdani has demonstrated that he knows how to do strategy. I feel like he's been, like, if anything, he's been like strategically ruthless, right? Which is, like, once I get a bit of money, the socialism shit is over. Like, that's been Mamdani, is like, was there controversy because he endorsed Um, um, what is his name? The liberal Zionist. They co-endorsed each other. I'm blanking on his name. Starts with an L. I can't believe I'm blanking. Lander. He endorsed Lander over like a DSA candidate because it was like, I scratch my back, I scratch yours. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Feels like once he won, he kept acting like it was still the election. He was behind in the polls. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe Mamdani is a very smart politician when it's good for him to be anxious, and then when it's bad for him to be anxious, he becomes less of a smart politician. Because I mean, I don't know, like, I feel like people need to appreciate how little leverage you actually have as Mamdani. Like, one of the reasons he's so important relates to how little leverage he has. Being the mayor of New York it's a big position, but it is a municipal position. And a lot of his clout comes from popularity, not from like how much power he has over certain institutions necessarily. I mean, certainly, you know, you don't want to underappreciate the power that has, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. 100%. I don't know if it's the insecurity that he feels, like he's too green, like he doesn't have the fucking momentum behind him. Maybe he doesn't recognize it, but he does have it. Okay? He does. I don't fucking believe Hochul, without like an appropriate shellacking, is actually going to lean into Zoran out of the kindness of her fucking heart. It's just not going to happen. It has never happened. Doing this amidst a massive nurse strike where 15,000 nurses in New York City,
yes, that is
one,
important.
got arrested yesterday for their...
I mean, none of that is a surprise to me. I feel like Mamdani has made his like ideological position clear. If it wasn't always clear, I guess. You know, it's funny for me to say that now, given what I was saying before.
Participation in the work stoppage at a time when Hochul is also extending the emergency in an effort to continue not leaning into the demands being made by the fucking nurses. Like, doing this in this very moment is like unimaginably bad from even from the perspective of like New York politics, pro-labor politics in the fucking state of New York, in the city of New York.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the answer is just Mamdani is an anxious politician. No circumstances can you ever make concession in today's politics in America? Wait, what do you mean? Yeah, I guess, I mean, I feel like Mamdani has to do like the ooh to the governor. It's the problem. I don't like, what leverage does he actually have over the governor? Because I understand that he needs the governor to do a lot of stuff, and that if the governor didn't like him, he wouldn't get a lot of that stuff done, and obviously that would reflect negatively on him and his future as a politician. Because I mean, it is funny because like Mamdani's so good at staying on message, and then it's like, you're meaning to tell me he's running for the stuff where he was staying on message for? Or he's governing with the logic of what he was staying on message about? Yeah. It's funny the left and the right gets that now. Now that like it's more like the kind of fascist populist right. Because they'll have the like, is such and such our guy? Like, is he going to be based? And then it's like $1 billion more to Israel. Stronger than most others, but it's nothing crazy. Yeah. There's no sorry or apologizing or anything anymore. Yeah, I know it's true. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Because that's the thing, I don't know. Like, if you're playing Hokel off, the problem is if you're playing Hokel off the challenger, and you know, my opinion, my impression of what, maybe I'm wrong about this, I don't know. My impression of like what Hassar want him to do is to be like, you know, I can endorse the other guy, and that's like really scary for you. And then so she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll do more for you then. Isn't that still symbolic though? Like, can't you still say just like psych? Get it in writing? I guess so, but like, yeah. Or I'm getting, that's politics. But we're getting it in writing too. I mean, presumably these are backroom deals. It seems like it's a similar situation, but you have, like, the leverage is just a promise. Make them front room deals? I guess so. I guess so. Like, I'll endorse you if you do this. I guess that's true. Yeah, probably. Because they already did that, right? Like, Hokel already committed to the childcare stuff or whatever. I guess I understand the, like, part of his power is the belief that he's a different kind of politician. Endorsing Hokel without visible concessions undermines some of the outside veneer. I guess that's true. But that also seems like someone was saying, like, one of Mamdani's problems is that he's like doing stuff now as if he's still running and the election is in a month. I feel like that would just be a continuation of that. Of Alumi, hello.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh,
I hope you had a good
had
stream.
no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
Shut to them. Shut to me. We're talking about Mamdani. At the moment, and his decision to endorse Hokel. I guess that makes sense. Of you play the two off each other, so you can at least get some sort of like public recognition from Hokel. We blew our goal in less than an hour. Nice. We'll have to see it. It's awesome. I gotta do a fundraiser stream soon. Haven't done one in a while. I feel like it's always good. Yeah, I mean, I guess that helps. I don't know. Again, I do wonder if it's just the chess thing I said, where it's like, Mamdani is like, I've gotten enough. I understand this relationship well enough that I know I'm not going to get more from antagonizing her. Because that's clearly the calculation made, right? Yeah, Logan, thank you. That's clearly the calculation made, right? Is I don't want to antagonize. I don't want to antagonize Hokel, because it's clear that one of these people has more leverage over the other. You know? Do we think that's true? I guess I don't know enough about like New York municipal politics, but that was my impression. Seems true, yeah. Because in that case, like, yeah, I mean that's clearly the calculation Mamdani made, which was I don't want to press my luck. I don't want to antagonize the person who's like presumably obviously gonna win. Like there's some challenge, but it's not like a significant challenge. Wouldn't be significant if he waits. That's probably true. Yeah, maybe. Could have been a wrong move. It does seem to be a strategic thing. I think people confuse the strategic criticism from an ideological one. I think the main discussion here is strategic. And I think if you're, like, all of the times if there is an ideological discussion about this, I think it might stem from a lack of an understanding of Mamdani's deal and like what he's clearly demonstrated himself to be as a politician, which is like obviously someone who is going to, you know, spit in the face of, is it protesting nurses in New York? If it like facilitates his policy goals. Yeah. Folks, if you have it on Amazon Prime account, you can connect to your Twitch account, get a free subscription you can use on me. It's much appreciated. But I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm less good with the strategy stuff, especially when I don't know the stakes well enough. Because I don't really know this, like, or not the stakes, but the structure of the. I'm kind of tired, and I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry again. I've like have not been hungry at all in the past like 2 weeks, which is not good. I don't know why. It's not good. I'm not sleepy. I feel really not tired despite not sleeping that much. I feel like this happens sometimes with me. I will eat. It's probably just ADHD, yeah. It's all the meth and the cocaine. Yeah, you're right. That's clearly it. Yeah, I'm gonna be streaming less in the future because I'm doing more work with the podcast with QAA. It's the podcast I'm on. You should listen to it. I'm gonna be on a lot more. I'm gonna be on like a vast majority of the episodes. Join the Discord. It'll ping you when I go live. I'll definitely stream on Sundays. That's like my go-to day. Maybe Wednesday and Sunday. Maybe just Sunday. I'll see how I feel with the new workload. I'm sorry on interior motives. That was great. Rate Chibli. Gotta rate my goat. My goat Chibli. Anyway, there'll be edited videos. Oh, awesome! Thank you. Yes, please edit videos together. That's awesome. If someone hasn't made one, even if they have, you know, the more the merrier. Really. Yeah. Thank you. Gil barely streams and we're getting less. You're honestly just getting the same as what I do now. Just it's explicit. All right. Goodbye, everybody.